Welcome to the Fantasy Audiobook. Marvel. Starting with Spider-Man No Return. Chapter 41. Yang Ming. Oh, boring, childish. He viciously raised two middle fingers, and crushed his palm on the ground with one foot. Hey Mr. Spider, you got the big guy done. At this time, Peter and Gwen dealt with a large number of lizard monsters and rushed over. The battle suit on Gwen's body was damaged in many places and was stained with some green blood, but fortunately he was not injured. Peter's battle suit was transformed by venom. This battle had swallowed many monster heads, and the suit of venom seemed to be darker and smoother. Looking at the pile of gravel on the ground, the two finally felt relieved. Don't let your guard down, Dr. Kurt and Norman Osborn haven't shown up yet. Yang Ming reminded. The high-altitude helicopter roared, and the middle-aged Otto, who was carrying a silver box, slowly landed on the ground. When Peter and Gwen saw Dr. Otto, they immediately became nervous. They did not forget Dr. Otto's evil smile at that time. Yang Ming laughed and said, "Don't be nervous, it's not an enemy." The two looked at each other and chose to trust Yang Ming. Looking at the mess at the scene, the middle-aged Otto looked guilty. "Oh, Yummy, it was our negligence this time, sorry, we didn't expect the antidote to have no effective effect on them from different universes." Before the words fell, Yang Ming's cheeks twitched, and Peter and Gwen both exclaimed suddenly. "Wait, you said, Yummy." Gwen was confused. Peter pointed at Yang Ming, his tone trembling slightly. You are. Yummy is such a funny name, they can't believe that there is a second in all of New York. Yang Ming spread his hands helplessly, and the nanometal mask faded away, revealing the familiar faces of the two. Drive Otto, it's really yours. His eyes were filled with resentment. The middle-aged Otto looked embarrassed and apologized quickly. When Gwen and Peter saw Yang Ming's face, they couldn't control their collapse. Yummy, it's really you, no wonder your tone is so familiar. Yummy, you lied to me for so long. Yummy, you are so weak. Why did you beat me up in the hospital? I regard you as my best friend. Yummy, you are so weak. Why did you beat me that time in the villa? I regard you as my best friend. After the two said this sentence in unison, they froze in place again. Gwen, Peter, the two looked at each other in the same way, sounded out to test, and saw the other's reaction, and got the answer one after another. The two took off their masks, and the three of them faced each other with 6 eyes, and the atmosphere was a little awkward. Yang Ming scratched his forehead and smiled embarrassedly. Gwen, Peter, I'm sorry, I'm just playful, but I promise, there won't be a next time. To shut up. The two yelled at Yang Ming, then looked at each other with resentment in their eyes. Humph, humph. The two turned their heads, not wanting to see each other's faces. Gwen for not telling me she is Spider-Woman. Peter didn't tell me he was the Black Spider-Man. But the most hateful thing is Yummy, the fool. Seeing this, Yang Ming shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Oh, the vest was exposed, so I don't have to play in the future. In the awkward atmosphere, the middle-aged Otto raised the box in his hand and changed the subject. This is a new antidote, and the effect must be different from the previous one. The three people's attention was diverted, and their eyes followed the middle-aged Otto's hands, and gradually fell on the 3 tubes of glass instruments in the box. The 3 of them each picked up a tube of glass instruments with curious expressions on their faces. This antidote works really well. In the middle of Peter's speech, the instrument in his hand suddenly released a super strong current, and the current flowed through his whole body. His body was instantly paralyzed, and he fell to the ground in convulsions. The black liquid covering his body rolled and faded away. At the same time, Yang Ming and Gwen failed to escape. Oh, Otto. Yang Ming twitched all over, rolled his eyes, foamed at the mouth, and pointed at the middle-aged Otto with a sinister smile, shaking non-stop. The middle-aged Otto casually threw the box under his feet, a glint of complacency flashed across his sinister face. Yummy, I'm sorry, the antidote twice as fake, I'm your undercover agent. You too. Otto, no, Yummy, it's not us two Ottos, I'm me from beginning to end. The middle-aged Otto sneered. I am an independent individual, even if my mind is controlled by the mechanical arm, I am still me. The old guy used the chip to help me eliminate the influence of the mechanical arm on me, and I am very grateful to him. No, he is me, and it is only me I have to thank. Now that I am awake, without the influence of the mechanical arm, my feelings for the artificial sun experiment will be even more fanatical. Quote. The middle-aged Otto looked at the twitching Yang Ming and laughed. Yummy, you are really my lucky boy. Without your self-righteous intelligence, I think it would be impossible to catch the three of you so quickly. He looked up at the helicopter in the sky, and said, Norman Osborn, you can come out and see my results. You should pay what you promised. The helicopter landed on the ground, and Norman Osborn stepped off the helicopter with a satisfied smile. Very good, Dr. Otto, starting today, you will have your own independent laboratory, you will receive the full support of the Osborn Group, and you don't have to worry about having another one of you to share all the honors after the success of the artificial sun experiment. As he spoke, he commanded his men to step forward and lock the three of them with special handcuffs and anklets. Given the physical fitness of Yang Ming and the other three, the powerful electric current could not paralyze them for too long. Just in case, Norman Osborn prepared special props made of superalloy. 3. I'm sorry, so I can rest assured. Norman Osborn glanced at the faces of the three and smiled slightly. It was you, three of Harry's friends. Gwen and Peter were still in a semi-conscious state, and Yang Ming seemed to be the first to recover. He glanced at the two of them, his eyes full of dissatisfaction. HMPH, Norman, Otto, when did you hook up again? The middle-aged Otto got the promise, and he was in a good mood. He explained. After the old guy implanted the chip in me, I regained my sobriety and understood a lot of things. That guy is old, he gave up our lifelong ideals, and his shitty reactor is crap and worthless compared to my experiments. The artificial sun experiment can only be realized by myself. So I contacted Norman, took advantage of Yummy's self-righteousness, successfully let Norman take control of the group, and caught you when you were most relaxed. Quote. Looking at the three who were captured without a fight, the middle-aged Otto couldn't help being proud. Yang Ming shook his head and looked at Norman Osborn. Mr. Osborn, what about you? After throwing all the bait at once, there should be a deeper hole card, right? Quote. Norman Osborn smiled slightly. I don't need to answer your question, poor bug, I will control your fate from now on. The corners of Yang Ming's mouth raised slightly, sweeping away the depression just now, and sarcasm flashed in his eyes. Oh, that's not necessarily the case. Last time I let you run away, this time I just need to catch you. You. Norman Osborn had a calm expression, but the middle-aged Otto at the side noticed something was wrong from Yang Ming's expression. Having been planted by Yang Ming many times, he knows exactly what this smile means. No, Norman, we. Boom. Before the words were finished, a scarlet mechanical tentacle blasted out from the building on the street, piercing the helicopter behind the two of them effortlessly. How could it be him? The middle-aged Otto's face was ugly. At the same time, Yang Ming took advantage of the chaos to manipulate the metal battle suit to pop out the sharp 8 spider spears, and dragged Gwen and Peter's bodies into the charred shop on the side of the street. As soon as the three of Yang and Ming left, the mechanical tentacles burst out with intense red energy, and the entire helicopter exploded under the impact of energy, and the violent energy set-off sent Norman and the middle-aged Otto more than 10 meters away. Kakaka. The fragments of the helicopter splashed all over the sky, and the white-haired Otto in a black windbreaker controlled the mechanical tentacles to slowly walk out of the shops on the street. Looking at the middle-aged Otto not far away, the white-haired Otto shook his head and sighed. Young me, you let me down so much. The middle-aged Otto gritted his teeth and said angrily, the energy of the reactor is out of order, you should have died in the explosion. You underestimate yourself. Yang Ming manipulated the tip of the 8 spider lances to cut off the superalloy handcuffs and anklets, stepped to the side of the white-haired Otto, and said with a slight smile. Don't forget, the old guy you speak of was also young, and he was even more insidious than you. How can you not see your problem when you are old and mature? Quote. Hearing this, the white-haired Otto couldn't help shaking his face. Yummy, are you praising me? Yang Ming nodded. Of course, trust your own intuition. During this period of time, the commercials were shot in vain, and the acting skills have improved a lot. Thinking about it now, if it wasn't for the reminder from the white-haired Otto, he might have guessed that something was wrong with the middle-aged Otto. After all, the abnormality of the antidote made him vigilant. But it was not so easy to draw Norman Osborn out. Seeing the two relaxed and comfortable, The middle-aged Otto was furious, feeling that he had been played with. You. Before he could speak harshly, the scorched ground under Yang Ming's feet exploded, and the bitter wind carried a large amount of rubble towards the middle-aged Otto. Doctor, now it's your turn. Yang Ming punched out, and the air burst. The middle-aged Otto's face changed drastically, and he quickly manipulated 4 mechanical tentacles to stop him. As soon as the crimson energy filled the mechanical tentacles, Yang Ming's fist had already landed on the mechanical arm. Boom! With a loud noise, crimson energy swept across the scorched earth, and the ground quickly cracked like a spider web. The fierce force collision sent the middle-aged Otto flying. He manipulated the mechanical arm to plunge into the ground to stop backing up. He inadvertently glanced at the sunken part of the mechanical tentacles, with an unbelievable expression on his face. How did your strength recover so quickly? With your little battery, it's not enough to charge the nano-metal suit. With a look of disdain on his face, he quietly retreated to the side of the white-haired Otto. You installed an arc reactor for him. Yang Ming's tone was full of resentment. The white-haired Otto looked up at the sky. He stole it, it's none of my business. Yang Ming, okay then, you can deal with them and don't let Norman run away, he said. No temporary tasks have been started so far, Yang Ming just wants to do some light work. The white-haired Otto had no objection, and his eyes signaled Yang Ming to look at the charred shops on the street. Okay, the real antidote is inside, the 2 of them give it to me. Although the middle-aged Otto betrayed him, he still wants to try to save the other villains. He believes that people are always different. Yang Ming nodded and jumped into the shop by launching spider silk, while the white-haired Otto's eyes became sharper, and the energy device behind him continuously gushed out majestic energy, increasing 4 nano-mechanical tentacles. Boom! In an instant, the 4 nano-mechanical arms were blessed with energy, extending a length of meters in an instant, and the crimson energy spread, like an octopus monster from a different dimension. The terrifying aura shocked everyone. How can the old guy be so strong? Norman, go! The middle-aged Otto looked panic-stricken, terrified by the terrifying scene, and pulled the inexplicably dazed Norman to flee the scene. Boom! The next moment, 4 crimson tentacles snaked towards them, turning into a mechanical cage to trap the 2 of them. The middle-aged Otto was unwilling to fail, and manipulated the energy device to boost energy for his mechanical arm. Bang bang bang! Loud noises continued, and the mechanical arm filled with crimson energy kept bombarding the cage. Bursts of sparks splashed in all directions, but they couldn't shake the cage one iota. Not far away, Yang Ming, who had just received the antidote, saw this scene with shock in his eyes. The older you get, the stronger you become. Is this guy a god? Shaking his head, Yang Ming stopped paying attention to the details of the battle, and flew to the gravel transformed by the Sandman, and threw down a tube of glass instruments. A strong golden light flickered for a moment, and the gravel quickly recovered its human form. William Baker woke up from the confusion, and the mutation symptoms after being irradiated were completely eliminated. Ding! Congratulations on starting the hidden mission. Hidden task. Treat at least 5 villains' mutation symptoms 5/1. Task reward. Open the big event punch atlas once. Yang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, it really is so. According to the routine, when the white-haired Otto gave him the task, the system should start a temporary task. But the temporary mission did not appear as he imagined. So he guessed that there must be a special reason for it. And now it turns out that his guess was correct. As for the reward for opening the hidden mission, Yang Ming doesn't know what the big event check in Atlas is for the time being. But it doesn't matter, he will understand later. Traveling is getting more and more interesting. While thinking, Yang Ming found the Green Goblin who was kicked off the demon glider by him again. At this time, the Green Goblin had already taken off his helmet, and was half lying on the foot of the wall panting, his old face covered with a creepy green color. Because of the injection of genetic medicine with serious side effects, his physical fitness far exceeds that of ordinary people, and the depression in his chest is not enough to constitute a fatal injury. Ha. Spider-Man. You win. Looking at Yang Ming in front of him, the Green Goblin was sweating profusely, and his smile was still abnormal. Yang Ming curled his lips. He was too lazy to talk nonsense, so he took out the medicine and gave the other party a shot. Hidden task. Treat at least 5 villains' mutation symptoms, 5 halves. The potion took effect quickly, and the Green Goblin. No, the eyes of the old Norman Osborn gradually cleared up, and he was a little dazed looking at the strange face in front of him. He moved his gaze down and found the nano-suit on Yang Ming's body, and immediately reacted. Peter, are you? Yang Ming interrupted the other party. No, I'm not Peter. Tell me, where is Kurt Connors? The old Norman's eyes were still confused. He tried to retrieve his previous memories, but his mind was in chaos and he couldn't remember the key information at all. What? Suddenly, Norman hugged his head and howled. His face became extremely painful. Yang Ming frowned, turned and left without hesitation. It doesn't matter if the other person is pretending to be stupid or just can't remember what happened. Passing by the corpses of lizard monsters, Yang Ming found that these corpses began to show signs of collapse. Yang Ming watched the corpses of these monsters slowly shrinking and turned into lizards, and he understood. This is another animal genetic medicine developed by Norman based on Dr. Connor's regenerative medicine. At this time, the white-haired Otto came towards him, and the robotic arm carried the middle-aged Otto and the middle-aged Norman. The 4 mechanical arms of the middle-aged Otto were easily suppressed by the white-haired Otto, his face full of dissatisfaction. But the middle-aged Norman's face was terribly calm. No, not calm, but facial paralysis. From the very beginning, Norman Osborn didn't have much emotional fluctuations, at most he just smiled, unlike the middle-aged Otto who has a wealth of villain expression packs. When Yang Ming found this situation, his heart moved. Friday, what's the situation with the Osborn group now? He raised his hand and turned on the virtual computer. Sir, I have connected to the network for you. The virtual picture quickly emerged, and I saw the messy interior of the Osborn group, with countless reporters filming the genetic monsters on the ground that were wiped out by unknown means. These monsters did not return to their original appearance due to death. Obviously they were not the same kind of lizard monsters that Yang Ming killed. The scene was crowded and the picture was a bit shaky, but Yang Ming caught familiar faces from it. Norman Osborn. At this time, Norman Osborn was explaining to reporters the reasons for the group's internal reasons with a face full of self-blame, and promised to be responsible for the matter. How could it be him? Aside, the white-haired Otto's old face became weird, and he looked back at Norman who was caught by him. The third Norman also came from another universe. No, Norman looks different in different universes. Yang Ming denied the white-haired Otto's guess. He thought for a while, and came to Norman who was restrained by the mechanical arm. Boom! To Otto's surprise, Yang Ming knocked Norman's head away with a punch, sparks flashed, and the severed head was full of mechanical circuits. Because the head was blown away, the broken circuits kept flickering with sparks. It's a machine. The white-haired Otto's face became serious. Yang Ming nodded. Yes, this is not the real Norman Osborn. He looked at the virtual interface, his eyes gradually became excited. Perhaps even the Osborn group is not the real Norman Osborn. Traveling is getting more and more interesting. Discover the secrets of the Osborn group. The mission reward is only 3% of the power of a generation of Spider-Man. The mission was not dangerous, but it was complicated enough to make Yang Ming feel the long-lost excitement. Look at Norman Osborn in the virtual interface. After explaining to the reporter, he officially began to introduce the genetic medicine developed by the group. After an impassioned speech, Norman invites a mysterious guest. Amidst the exclamation of the crowd, a beam of golden light burst through the space door and descended on the scene. In the dazzling light, a handsome man in a green battle robe and a round glass mask slowly landed on the ground. Under the light of the gods, the mysterious man is like a god who is worshipped by people. However, the strange helmet makes people unconsciously think of the identity of the other party's alien. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome the guests who have come to Earth from the distant universe. He brought the weapons to destroy the genetic monsters. It was he who brought brand new genetic technology and perfected the Osborn group's genetic medicine. He brought light to the Earth and brought new technology. Norman's tone was high, and the atmosphere on the scene climbed to the extreme. Oh my God, that's not true. Aliens, aliens. Mom, what did I see? Oh my God, aliens have landed on Earth. Amidst the warm cheers, the mysterious guest suddenly showed an inexplicable smile at the camera. Here, I need to explain Mr. Osborn's slip of the tongue. I am not from a distant alien planet, but from another parallel universe, Earth. On another Earth, the spider god pretended to be a hero, and finally destroyed everything. I came to this Earth to save the human beings who were deceived by the spider god. Spider Cthulhu, your plot will not succeed. His smile suddenly subsided, and his eyes became sharp. Zizizi. The line was interrupted, and the picture stopped abruptly. Spider God, is this guy referring to you? The white-haired Otto took a deep breath and looked at Yang Ming. Yang Ming shrugged, it should be, but it's not just me, there are two of them. He pointed to Gwen and Peter who had regained their mobility not far away, with a hint of teasing in their eyes. The arrest operation failed, so the mysterious guest appeared on the stage, leading people to regard Spider-Man as a threat. Is it to use the offensive of public opinion? Mysterious guest, whose real name is Quentin Baker, is a special effects artist in Hollywood. He does not have any superpowers. He is good at using high technology to create false illusions and chemical gases that can make people hallucinate. Unmanned aerial vehicles, it can be said that it is difficult to distinguish between true and false, making it hard for opponents to guard against. In the movie, Spider-Man: Far From Home, the mysterious guest Quentin Baker is the designer of the holographic system shown by Stark. It was once displayed in the movie, Captain America 3, Civil War. Pay attention to. Due to his unstable personality, Quentin Baker was fired by Tony, and he always felt resentful. Then Tony died in the final battle, leaving the artificial intelligence Edith to the Sun Spider. Quentin Baker used the little spider to deceive Edith's authority, and used drones to cooperate with his phantom technology to create a group of elements that threatened humans, and then stopped them as a mysterious guest to get credit. But it was later revealed that these were nothing more than lies he made up. A week after being defeated by Spider-Man, an altered video of the final confrontation between Spider-Man and Mysterio was released by Jameson, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Bugle. Jameson is worthy of Spider-Man's lifelong enemy, the biggest black fan. The altered version of the video portrays Spider-Man as a threat, falsely accuses Spider-Man of killing Mysterio and letting the drones destroy everything, and in the video Baker also reveals that Spider-Man's true identity is Peter Parker. Now, Quentin Baker has appeared in this world with a high profile, pointing all the fingers at Spider-Man in his words, blatantly declaring war. Yang Ming called out the system interface, but the task has not been completed yet, which shows that behind all this is not just the mystery man declaring war. The whereabouts of Kurt Connors is unknown, Norman Osborn's real body has not been revealed yet, and the lizard monsters are all real existences, not the special effects of Mysterio. The mystery guest is just a pawn. Drive Otto, I will leave these three guys to you. The three guys Yang Ming mentioned were, of course, Old Norman, William Baker, and middle-aged Otto. The mutation symptoms of the elderly Norman and William Baker have disappeared, and Yang Ming is not interested in being in charge of the after-sales service of the two, not to mention the middle-aged Otto. This guy must accept the transformation of the white-haired Otto. In the days to come, the three of them could only fight in the laboratory of the white-haired Otto. White-haired Otto certainly had no objection to Yang Ming's words. Okay, Yami, leave them to me, and I promise I won't let them continue to cause trouble. As he spoke, he asked again, what about the mysterious guest? Yang Ming waved his hands and said with a smile, don't worry, Mystery is just an ordinary person, and if he wants to make a difference, he must cooperate with a large number of drones, as well as his special effects team. He probably didn't bring these two things to this world, so he had to use Osborn's chaos to create momentum. Otherwise, it would not be the gene monsters rampaging today, but a large number of elemental monsters appearing in New York, and the mysterious guest appeared on the stage and eliminated them, winning everyone's respect and admiration. Under the limited conditions, the mysterious guest will not make any big movements for the time being. Quote. The white-haired Otto nodded thoughtfully, okay, Yami, as long as you're sure. Suddenly, Yang Ming thought of something, grinned and said, drive Otto, my battle armor. Don't worry, I've already started preparing your armor. You can also put forward your ideas about the design of the armor. I can tailor it for you, but... The white-haired Otto looked serious, but it can't be too complicated, after all, the cost is too high. Yang Ming. The old man searched and searched, but it's pretty good if you have it, so you can't be too picky. Osborn Group, Office. Having dealt with the difficult reporter, Norman Osborn and Quentin Baker entered the office. Quentin Baker, the arrest operation failed, can we start the next step? Norman Osborn's smile faltered in an instant, and the pupils of his eyes flickered with electronic light. He didn't open his mouth, and made an emotionless electronic synthesis voice. Quentin Baker's face moved slightly, and then he came to the desk as if nothing had happened, sat on the chair and played with the objects on the table. He said in a casual tone, "No hurry, you haven't prepared the drone I want, and my special effects team is not in this world, so I can't fulfill your request for the time being. We will prepare the drone soon, and we will arrange the special effects team for you immediately. I hope you will not disappoint me," Norman Osborn said. "Don't worry, as long as everything is ready, I will act according to your request." "Very well. Before the robot was destroyed, did you capture the true faces of the 3 Spider-Men?" Norman asked again. Quentin Baker looked as usual. "No, the big octopus showed its flaws, so they were prepared for it, and they acted too fast, it was too late. Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy, and a Chinese." Quentin Baker secretly smiled in his heart, and of course he saw the true faces of the 3 Spider-Men through the camera inside the robot. However, he will not directly explain this point. The true identities of the 3 are his trump card to save his life. One Spider-Man is already a headache, let alone 3 Spider-Men. There is an old saying in China, it is still unknown who will win the deer. He doesn't know the specific strength of Norman Osborn, and he doesn't know how many Spider-Mons there are in this world. The outcome of the 2 sides is unknown. Of course, Quentin Baker must have reservations when he acts, so that he can find an excuse to get out later. His goal is to become a hero and seek profit. Fighting with Spider-Man. He is not a fool, why would he risk his life to work for the Osborn Group? After getting the drone, he planned to find an excuse to take his team to another city, a city without Spider-Man. Dawn breaks, Parker's apartment. When the 3 of them returned to the apartment, they were all silent on the way, and the atmosphere was delicate. Crack. When Yang Ming opened the door, Peter and Gwen behind him looked at each other, and suddenly launched a sneak attack with spider webs. The nano-metal battle suit was hidden under the clothes, and Yang Ming was still using the suit. The spider silk struck, and the spider's sensor functioned. Yang Ming's footsteps faltered, and he turned sideways to avoid the spider silk sneak attack lightly. "Yummy, let me show you the results of my exercise these days." The next moment, Peter's body was covered in pitch-black combat clothes, and his fists came with a strong wind. Yang Ming smiled, and retreated calmly. The strong wind from his fist brushed his hair, and Peter's fist missed the tip of his nose by a hair's breadth. At this time, Gwen flew past Peter, put one hand on Peter's shoulder, raised his leg and kicked sideways, and the target was still Yang Ming's face. "Oh, it seems that I haven't calmed down yet." Yang Ming chuckled, raised his hand to block, and grabbed Gwen's ankle at the same time, swung Gwen's body and slammed it directly at Peter who was beside him. The action was simple and rough. "Call out." Before Peter could catch her, Gwen shot spider webs to avoid Peter, turned over and fell to Yang Ming together with Peter. "Yummy, I must beat you up." "Me too." The 2 came to attack fiercely, and Yang Ming spread his hands innocently, easily unloading the attacks of the 2 and retreating to the living room. "Let me say yes first, if you break it, you will lose money." "I have money." "I have no money, but I asked Uncle Ben to reduce your rent." The 2 spoke one sentence, and after speaking, each turned into 2 directions, stepping on the wall, one left and one right, and rushed towards Yang Ming again. "I can rest assured that." Yang Ming smiled all over his face, retreated violently, and jumped out of the window in an instant. "Don't run." With a loud cry, Peter jumped out of the window without hesitation. Gwen paused, thought for a while, and then jumped out of the window after putting on her spider suit. "Well, that way you won't be afraid of being discovered." Boom. The cold wind whistled outside the window. Yang Ming tapped his chest lightly. The nano-metal battle suit covered his whole body, sending spider webs flying around the outer wall of the apartment. "Don't run." Peter rushed out of the window and immediately stretched the black spider web to catch up with Yang Ming. Boom. Peter came flying, and he didn't control his strength when he landed, and accidentally shattered the window of the neighbor's house. He thumped in his heart, "It's over, I'm going to lose money." "Peter, that's my window." Gwen flew past Peter, slapped Peter angrily, and then used the inertia of flying to chase Yang Ming. Oh, sorry, I'll pay attention next time. Peter sighed and stretched the web again to catch up to Gwen. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The two kept launching spider silks to fly around the tall buildings, while Yang Ming led the two behind him around in circles, enjoying themselves for a while. Hey, let's go play there. Yang Ming launched a spider web and landed on the curtain wall of a nearby office building, his feet clinging to the curtain wall, as if walking on flat ground. Who is afraid of whom? Coming. The moment the two flew down the curtain wall, Yang Ming made a provocative hook, and the three of them fought together. In the office building, Jason, who had worked the night shift, was drowsy, and was awakened immediately when he heard the movement of the outer wall. Oh, Spider-Man, no, it's Spider-Woman, and it's not right, it's black. Wow, 3 Spider-Man battles. Jason's drowsiness was immediately dispelled by this scene. He quickly poked his head out of the outer wall and used his mobile phone to film the battle between the 3 Spider-Men. In the early hours of the morning, the abnormality of the curtain wall of the high-rise building also attracted nearby citizens who jogged in the morning to stop and watch. Oh, what happened? They fought. Look, Spider-Woman and the black guy, why are they targeting Mr. Spider? God, I thought they were friends. Oh no, why is my Spider-Woman with a black guy? Such behavior is too despicable. Black guys are meaner. Mr. Spider, don't lose to them. Come on, Mr. Spider. The citizens complained about Yang Ming, who was alone, but they didn't know how Gwen and Peter were feeling on the curtain wall. Boom, bang bang. The 3 of them fought, the wind howled and the fists were fierce, but they all controlled their strength. Gwen didn't use the bloody spider silk, and Peter didn't sacrifice a big knife. They didn't intend to destroy the curtain wall under their feet. But without stronger power, they couldn't cause any trouble to Yang Ming at all, and a sense of powerlessness emerged in his heart. Yang Ming responded lightly to the attack of the two, and still had time to observe the scene downstairs. Peter, Gwen, your character design is about to collapse, do you still want to fight? The two stopped, glanced at the crowd below, and shook their heads helplessly. Obviously we are the victims. Gwen sighed. Peter scratched his head and said, we just want to beat Yami back, what's wrong with us? Stop beating, go home and sleep. Stop beating, I stayed up all night. I'm going back to put on a mask. The two sighed, turned around and flew around the tall buildings. Yang Ming shrugged, I haven't used my strength yet, so you don't want to fight, it's boring. Gwen, Peter, the two were flying in the air, and their hands slipped for a moment when they heard this sentence. As a result, there were 2 more human-shaped holes on the roadside billboards. Back in the room, Yang Ming rubbed his sore body and muttered. The 2 guys are quite strong, and they almost made a fool of themselves. I knew I wouldn't teach them. Call up the system interface. Mission: recruit a multiverse Spider-Man and form a multiverse Avengers alliance. Reward: new Spider-Man suit. Yang Ming stroked his chin, looking thoughtful. In the current situation, if he invites 2 people to join the Multi-Avenger Alliance, a leather bag company, the 2 should not refuse. However, the appearance of the hidden mission made him plan to wait. There should be unexpected surprises if you overfulfill the task. But he can't wait too long. After all, he is also looking forward to the new spider suit. Then come to a small goal first, get 5 Spider-Man together. Before that, complete the hidden mission first. The mutant symptoms of the Sandman and the Green Goblin have disappeared, and the mission can be completed as long as 3 more villains are treated. The big event check in Atlas seems to be a bit interesting. Park Plaza. An ordinary-looking middle-aged man with white stubble stood under the huge advertising screen. He looked up at the advertising video played on the advertising screen, and there was a hint of surprise in his vicissitudes of life eyes, as well as a touch of speechlessness. The Spider-Man of this world acts in commercials. The man shook his head and smiled wryly. If I was like this guy at the time, earning money to support my family, maybe Mary wouldn't have left me. He touched the stubble at the corner of his mouth, looked at the opposite glass window, the mirror reflected his 20-year-old face, and couldn't help but take a deep breath. Once again, I'm younger and my strength is back to peak. I don't know if it's the same with the old man. He smiled slightly and walked into the opposite shopping mall. He needs a suit. 3 days later, Octavius Group, Laboratories. Drive Auto, is my battle armor ready? Yang Ming urged again with a video call. The white-haired Otto looked at Yang Ming in the video with a helpless expression on his face. Yummy, the battle armor is not finished so quickly, you have already asked number 36 times. Haha, sorry, Dr. Otto, I can't help it. There was no trace of embarrassment in Yang Ming's smile, and he said, by the way, is the transformer for Electron Man ready? The symptoms of Electron's mutation are complex and almost irreversible, so Yang Ming can only refer to the plot in the movie and get a transformer for Electron to suppress the energy that Electron may go berserk at any time. In this way, Electron can control his power consumption so as not to waste it. When Peter is not at home, Electron can spend more time with the lonely Uncle Parker. There will be no frequent power outages in the apartment. He can still complete tasks, killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Hearing Yang Ming's words, the white-haired Otto smiled wryly and said, Yummy, in your Washa's words, I owed you in my previous life. When the transformer is ready, I'll have William Baker bring it to you. Is there anything else? Yang Ming thought for a while, and counting the electric man in the apartment, he had to cure the 2 villains. Dr. Kurt's whereabouts are unknown, he can only target another golden electric man. Drive Otto, are you aware of the destruction of energy supply bases around the world? He asked. The white-haired Otto nodded with a serious face. Of course, that was done by another electric man. What, you want to save him? I advise you to give up this naive idea. He is different from Max beside you. This guy is originally an arrogant and lawless guy. Quote. Yang Ming was thoughtful, I can see this, but let's try it first. If it doesn't work, just disable him and put him in your laboratory to do odd jobs. Are you sure? The white-haired Otto frowned. What you asked me to do is not perfect. That guy has robbed a huge amount of energy, even I may not be able to defeat him. Yang Ming grinned, I never do anything that I'm not sure of. Now that there is no movement from the Osborne group, let's deal with the Golden Electric Man first. The white-haired Otto thought for a while. The Golden Electric Man is now looting energy supply bases everywhere, and he won't be returning to New York in a short time. What should we do to attract him? Yang Ming clicks on the virtual computer and transfers the data in it to the white-haired Otto computer. Drive Otto, use this. This is. The white-haired Otto opened the file, just glanced at it, and his old face couldn't help being excited. This is the new element formula for the arc reactor instead of palladium. He said tremblingly. Yes, Yang Ming said with a smile. Using new elements instead of palladium, the energy in the arc reactor will be even greater, and the Golden Electro-Optical Man has absolutely no resistance to this kind of thing. The white-haired Otto took a deep breath, trying to calm down his excitement. Yummy, if you take out this thing earlier, let alone a set of armor, I will promise you even 100 sets of armor. I'm also very helpless. The author wants a low number of words. I can't refuse him, can I? Yang Ming shrugged and smiled. He kept the new element formula in exchange for more benefits, but in comparison, the rewards for completing hidden tasks are more interesting. Parker Apartments. Hanging up the video call with the white-haired Otto, Yang Ming stood up and stretched, ready to go downstairs to eat. Crack. As soon as the door was opened, Peter was hovering around the door with a hesitant expression on his face. Hi, Peter, are you here to see Gwen? Yang Ming greeted. Seeing Yang Ming going out, Peter took a deep breath, as if he had made up his mind. Yummy, I want to ask you to do me a favor. Peter's face was flushed, and the venom parasite couldn't save him from his current embarrassment. Yang Ming had strange eyes and took a step back. Peter, you don't want me to help you buy the locket, do you? I won't do it, after all, I have no place to use myself. No, Yummy, it's not like that. Peter quickly explained, recently, I invite Mary to dinner more frequently, and then. Yang Ming frowned, no money. Peter lowered his head, his ears flushed. Yummy, help me, I also want to shoot commercials to make money. He didn't want to reach out to Uncle Ben, so he could only ask Yang Ming for help. After all, Yang Ming has been in the advertising industry for a while, so he should know what is reliable. And now Yang Ming seems to have stopped shooting commercials, which means that shooting commercials is really profitable, and he also wants to make money. He doesn't want to think about where to get a discount when eating with Mary, and he doesn't want to ask Uncle Ben to pay for his marriage in the future. Yang Ming looked at Peter in front of him with a relieved smile. Very well, you are finally sensible, you are not the same as before, and you will no longer be clumsy and mess up your work. Don't worry, leave this matter to me, and I will introduce you to a few reliable advertising directors at a price you are satisfied with. Quote. Although Mysterio's words made the public suspicious of Spider-Man's behavior, it was just suspicion, and Mysterio did not take any further actions. Spider-Man's salary is still very impressive. Peter was overjoyed. Thank you, Yummy. Everyone is a friend, you're welcome. Yes, we are best friends. As Peter said, he couldn't help but recall the first time he was pushed out of the crowd by Yang Ming and faced the strong Pete alone. At that time, Yummy should have wanted to exercise my will and teach me to face everything bravely. I even blamed Yummy at that time. Later, when I met Venom, Yummy taught me to fight again. Now Yummy introduced me to work again, but a few days ago I wanted to persuade Gwen to mess with Yummy. Oh, I'm so bad, I must treat Yummy better in the future. Yummy, I'll call Mary right now and tell her the good news. Peter rushed to the corner and started talking on the phone. Seeing this, Yang Ming couldn't help being amused. This guy is still too tender, and he can't hold his breath at all. To please girls, the most important thing is to know how to make surprises. The money is not in hand, and they are already planning to show their cards. Soon, after Peter finished the call, he returned with a disappointed expression. Sorry, Yummy, Mary said that Spider-Man should not serve the capital, and my ability should be used in the right place. Hearing this, Yang Ming felt an inexplicable emotional surge in his heart. Yeah, Spider-Man's power shouldn't serve capital. But, Yang Ming changed his voice and said with a smile, is it wrong to use your ability to bring a better life to your friends and family? Peter is confused. Mary and Yummy's words are very reasonable, how should I refute? Okay, Peter, you don't need to worry about this matter. I'm not asking you to use this sentence to refute Mary, but to let you know that there is no absolute wrong or right in the world, the difference lies in each person's position. As Yang Ming said, he patted Peter on the shoulder. You just need to know, from your own standpoint, what you think is right, and do it. It is a kind of happiness to live in the hearts of others. But living in the eyes of others can only bring endless troubles. Quote. Peter's eyes lit up, as if he understood, but he didn't seem to understand. Yummy, your words are still so philosophical, I need to digest them well. Yang Ming nodded, okay, you digest slowly. By the way, if you don't want to shoot commercials, then apply for a reporter position at the Daily Bugle. The editor-in-chief there, Jameson, is a die-hard fan of Gwen. If you beg Gwen to take some pictures of Spider-Woman for you, Jameson will definitely let you work for him. Quote. Peter thought about it and thought it was not bad. Thank you, Yummy, how do you know this? Yang Ming rolled his eyes. The Bugle Daily scolded us both in the newspaper all day long, how do you think I know? Before Peter could speak, Venom's dissatisfaction suddenly sounded in his mind. Oh shit, let that guy be my boss, I can't resist eating him. Peter covered his face. Dude, you can't ruin our jobs. But I'm hungry. Okay buddy, I'll get you 2 turkeys. Chicken, I seem to smell my friend. After Peter left, Yang Ming knocked on the door next door. Hey, Gwen, what are you eavesdropping on at the door? He had spotted Gwen inside the door a long time ago. Crack. Gwen opened the door. She was leaning against the door in pajamas with an unknown green mask on her face. Yummy, are you going downstairs? What do you want to say? Buy me a pair of ballet shoes, I'm going to school to practice ballet tomorrow, white ones, thank you. Okay. Yang Ming turned and walked into the elevator, muttering, green ballet shoes, what kind of taste? Gwen, white, green, are these 2 words easily confused? The person who can be named, Yummy, really has extraordinary English. The next day, Imperial University. The 3 of them walked into the campus. Yang Ming put on his sunglasses, and secretly looked at the long legs around him. But Peter next to him was listening to the music in the earphones, stepping on moonwalks, twisting his waist and hips, letting himself go freely, with a face full of intoxication. Well, I occasionally tease passing girls, attracting a lot of stares. Hey, Peter, are you sure you want to keep doing this? Yang Ming couldn't help interrupting the guy's interest. Peter stopped in his tracks, flicked his bangs lightly and said with a smile, "Of course, I want to enjoy today's sunshine to the fullest before I start my boring newspaper work." As he spoke, Peter continued to listen to the song and dance. Seeing this, Yang Ming raised his camera and took a street photo of Peter. Gwen, who was in front of her, turned her head and shook her head helplessly when she saw Peter's appearance. "When will this disease be cured? I'm going to the ballet studio, you can play by yourself." She was about to leave after saying this. "Wait, Gwen, this is the suit I asked Dr. Otto to tailor for you. It looks much better than your suit, and it's stronger and unbreakable." Yang Ming handed the bag in his hand to the other party, and sure enough, he could see the emotion in the other party's eyes. Gwen gritted her teeth and her face became ferocious. "Tailor-made, tell me, how do you know my measurements?" Yang Ming smiled confidently. "I've seen you change your battle clothes, I guessed it." Looking at Gwen's disappearing figure, Yang Ming grinned. "Haha, Gwen is really touched." On the side, Peter, who stopped dancing, glanced at the bruises in the corners of Yang Ming's eyes, and was silent for a few seconds. "You really don't need to go to the infirmary?" he asked. Yang Ming waved his hand. "No, I'm fine." Peter scratched his head, a little puzzled. "Yummy, with your physical fitness, why can Gwen beat you like this with one punch?" Yang Ming's cheeks twitched. "It was because I took a shower today and didn't wear a battle suit." "Peter, as a gentleman, you can't use your ability to bully girls, you know." "But Gwen is not an ordinary girl, she can kill a cow with one punch." "Well, I'm not an ordinary gentleman, after all, I'm more resistant to beating than a cow, isn't it?" "Yummy, what you said makes sense." The two chatted and walked, and soon came to the park lake of Imperial University. "Peter, you go to class, I'm here to see the scenery by myself." "Okay, Yummy." After Peter said goodbye, Yang Ming sat on a park chair and called out the virtual computer. In the virtual screen, Dr. Miles is doing ordinary experimental work in the laboratory, and there is no trace of abnormality at all. All this time, Miles has been like this. Seeing this, Yang Ming couldn't help frowning. He came to Imperial University, of course, not to be bored, to accompany Peter and Gwen to class. Miles hadn't moved, which made him aware that something was wrong. Norman Osborn was able to discover the existence of the nano spider, and Miles might have almost missed it, but after such a long time, he should have noticed something strange. Where has Spider-Man's cloning plan come to? Thinking of this, Yang Ming looked around and saw that there was no one around, and red, blue and gold-edged cards appeared on his fingertips. The nano-metal quickly spread throughout the body, and Yang Ming called the artificial intelligence, "Friday, activate the invisible function." "Okay, sir." In an instant, Yang Ming's body quickly merged with the surrounding environment. In the invisible state, Yang Ming launched the spider silk to shuttle through the buildings of the Imperial University, and followed the location shown on the map to find the experimental building. Relying on the nano-metal suit, Yang Ming sneaked into the experimental building and found that the experimental work in the experimental building was going on normally, but Miles' laboratory had already been evacuated, leaving only nano-metal spiders on the roof and sticking to the walls alone. Sure enough, this guy is quite cautious. Yang Ming took down the nano spider, shook his head and laughed. "I have been hiding it for so long with false pictures, is it sure that I will definitely focus on the Osborn group?" Scanning the empty laboratory, he stretched out his hand and waved it, the palm of which was stained with white spider silk. Yang Ming frowned. "It's biological spider silk, similar to the spider silk emitted from Spider-Man body. It seems that Miles' research has already achieved results." Beep beep. As soon as the voice fell, a piece of melodious and soothing music sounded from the corner of the laboratory. Cannon. The corner of Yang Ming's mouth twitched, and he broke out of the window without hesitation. Boom. Quote. The next moment, there was a loud noise, Myers' laboratory exploded, and the flames broke through the doors and windows, setting off a scorching wave of fire that swept everything around. Boom. Borrowing the impact of the heat wave, Yang Ming jumped to the ground, and the invisibility function of the suit lost its effectiveness due to the influence of the external environment. Countless students witnessed the scene of Yang Ming flying out of the explosion. Dr. Miles' laboratory exploded. Who did it? Oh, look, it's Mr. Spider. Why did Mr. Spider get out of the explosion? Shet, you two idiots, the laboratory exploded, call the police. Call the fire truck. The crowd was rioting, and there were also many good people watching from a distance, taking pictures of the scene with their mobile phones. And here, Yang Ming shook his head helplessly as he watched the thick flames and black smoke coming out of Meyer's laboratory. It's obviously a healing music, but you guys like to use it as a reminder of the explosion timing. I can't stand it. Launching the spider silk, Yang Ming flew into the experimental building again, and disappeared from everyone's sight after rescuing the people trapped in the fire. After all, it was my own fault, so I have to take responsibility. Yummy. Dr. Miles' laboratory exploded. Ruth and the others saw you at the scene. What exactly happened? In the coffee shop, 3 people gathered at a table, Peter and Gwen asked curiously. Yang Ming took a sip of his coffee and said, I forgot to tell you that the spider monster is the masterpiece of Meyer's experiment. His goal is to collect Gwen's genetic and combat data, and he wants to clone another spider woman. What? Gwen's eyes widened. How is it possible? How does Dr. Miles know my identity? Yang Ming interrupted. No, he doesn't know. He just created a spider monster and kept collecting data while fighting Spider Woman. That's why when Spider Woman comes along, the spider monster comes along. Quote. Peter and Gwen suddenly realized. It turns out that's the case. So Yami, you have discovered Miles' conspiracy. Gwen's eyes were unfriendly. What else is this guy hiding from us? Yang Ming pretended not to see Gwen's expression, and said sternly, I installed monitoring in Meyer's laboratory, but I didn't expect Myers to have noticed it long ago, and when I went to the scene to take away the monitoring equipment, an explosion was triggered. Quote. Where is Miles now? Peter asked. Yang Ming shook his head, I don't know. He took out the white spider silk with a solemn face. This is the spider silk I found at the scene. Maybe Miles' cloning experiment has been successful. Gwen took the thread and examined it carefully for a moment. The touch of the spider's silk is very similar to mine. Did Miles really clone another me? She had a hard look on her face. She knew very well that if Miles could clone one spider woman, he could clone countless spider women. She doesn't need to be reminded how terrifying the Spider Woman army controlled by ambitious people is. No, we must find Miles. She stood up with firm eyes. Yes, we must find him. Peter agreed. That's right, you must find Miles, stop his cloning plan, and save the world. Yang Ming raised his fist to cheer for the two. The two looked at Yang Ming at the same time. The two of us. What about you, Yummy? Yang Ming shrugged. It's enough for you to do this kind of thing, and I will be in charge of the finale. The two looked at each other, and then there was extreme contempt in their eyes. Hey, Gwen, Peter, so you're here. At this time, a middle-aged woman wearing glasses and a white lab coat found the two of them. Gwen, Peter, there is a gentleman who wants to know something from you. She was holding a pile of documents, and the corners of her clothes were slightly blackened. Yang Ming had an impression of her because he was the one who rushed into the fire and rescued her. Seeing the woman approaching, Gwen introduced Yami. This is Dr. Octavius, a newly hired physics professor at Imperial University. Octavius. Yang Ming's expression changed. He got up and said hello, then turned to the two of them and said, you have something to do, I won't bother you. With that said, he waved goodbye. Wait, are you Mr. Yami? Behind Octavius, a man in a well-knit suit stepped forward, wearing sunglasses, with a stern smile. Seeing this, Yang Ming smiled slightly. I am I am Yang Ming. Okay, Miss Stacy, Mr. Parker, and Mr. Yami, please follow me. Yang Ming and the three looked at each other, and they all saw something strange in each other's eyes. The three of them followed the man out of the coffee shop and walked straight to the white RV parked at the door. Gwen, isn't this car expensive? Peter asked aside. Gwen shook her head. It's not very expensive, but only official personnel can equip it. Hearing this, Peter couldn't help but wonder, the official forces are looking for us. Could it be that our identities have been discovered? Yang Ming nodded. It's possible, and it's not an ordinary official force. The corners of his mouth twitched slightly. The door of the RV opened, and the man got into the car with the three of them. Inside the car, a black man in a black windbreaker and a black eye patch over his left eye had been waiting for a long time. Agent Coulson, go and buy the three of you a cup of coffee. The uncle was also serious and ordered the man beside Yang Ming. Okay, Coulson left the RV, and there were only 4 people in the car. Introduction. I'm Nick Fury, from the official Strategic Defense Attack and Logistics Support Agency, also known as S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury said. Peter looked puzzled. S.H.I.E.L.D. I haven't heard of it. Gwen, do you know? Gwen shook his head. The existence of S.H.I.E.L.D. was beyond the knowledge of a police officer of his father George's level. But Yang Ming frowned. There is S.H.I.E.L.D. in this world. Boiled eggs. Ah bah, Chief Fury, how did you find out? He asked calmly. Regarding Yang Ming's calm reaction, Nick Fury could see any expression on his black face, but he was shocked in his heart when the other party revealed his identity as the director. This Chinese man is not as simple as it seems on the surface. He also knew what the other party was asking, so he tapped the equipment in the car, and a picture of 3 people being stunned by middle-aged Otto appeared on the virtual screen. What? Peter and Gwen exclaimed, instantly vigilant, while Yang Ming patted their shoulders to signal not to be nervous. Is this thing given to you by the mysterious guest? He laughed. In this world where black technology is rampant, he has long been prepared for his identity to be exposed. Nick Fury nodded. Yes, he is mine. Yang Ming sneered in his heart, that guy is only looking for profit, and he will not be a person of any power. What do you want to do when you find us? He asked knowingly. Nick Fury's eyes were sincere. The ambition of the Osborne Group has reached the point where it cannot be controlled, and I need your help. You know the secret of the Osborne Group. Yang Ming's eyes lit up. Of course I know, Nick Fury said. Norman was originally a senior agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. He recruited people with abilities, captured Spider-Man, and controlled the financial authority of the Osborne Group, all in order to establish his own prestige, lift me up, and thus control the whole of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's just that simple. Yang Ming called out the system interface, and the task information did not improve. When Yang Ming asked, it was Nick Fury's turn to be dumbfounded. Mr. Yami, you may not know how serious the consequences of Norman's control of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, I know, and I believe Director Fury's words. Yang Ming put away the system interface. He knew that there was no reason for the braised egg to lie about this matter. Some things, braised egghead, may also be kept in the dark. Director Fury, tell me the information you have, he said. Nick Fury showed a hint of joy on his face. Have you agreed to help? Of course, our goals are the same. In the middle of Yang Ming's words, Peter interrupted. Wait, Yami, I don't know what happened. On the side, Gwen said seriously, Peter, just listen. She seemed to understand something. Ignoring Peter's ignorance, Yang Ming continued. You can talk about the information you have. Can you make the decision? Nick Fury looked at Peter and Gwen. Yang Ming shrugged. You didn't send Natasha Romanov to lurk beside us first, probably because time didn't allow it. My patience is limited. While I am still interested, you know the consequences. Quote. Natasha. Nick Fury understood the threat in Yang Ming's mouth, but he still wanted to explain. Mr. Yami, Natasha died 10 years ago. Your source of information does not seem very reliable. The other party's news was wrong, which made him feel relieved. But now, it was Yang Ming's turn to be confused. The widow of this world is gone. I wanted to experience the temptation of big waves, but now I'm done. I can only wait until the next trip. Seeing that Yang Ming's ignorance gradually turned into a pity, Nick Fury couldn't help wondering if Yang Ming was an old monster from decades ago. Normal people know Natasha's details, so how could they be interested in old women? Okay, Mr. Yami, time is tight, let's stop talking nonsense. Now Norman has obtained the formula of regenerative potion from Dr. Cotter, through which the animal gene potion was developed, plus Miles' method of controlling monsters. Norman already has a powerful monster army. Quote. Where is Dr. Kurt now? Because of the hidden mission, Yang Ming paid special attention to the whereabouts of Kurt Connors. Nick Fury sighed and clicked on the virtual computer. In the morgue on the screen, a dead body with a severed hand lay quietly. Norman used him as a guinea pig to develop animal genetic medicine, which caused him to never wake up. Yang Ming slapped the table angrily. Gwen and Peter had never seen Yang Ming so angry, and comforted him repeatedly. Yami, you have to calm down. Yang Ming waved his hand. I'm fine. Dr. Kurt died too early. Well, he died too badly. We must make Norman pay the price. Kurt Connors is dead, and it's going to take another while to complete the hidden mission. Seeing that Yang Ming has such a deep feeling for Kurt Connors, the braised head comforted him even though he didn't understand why. Mr. Yami, I understand how you feel right now, but my control over S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting weaker and weaker, and I need your help. Only by stopping Norman's conspiracy can more innocent people be saved. Quote. Yang Ming took a deep breath and asked, what else have you mastered? Nick Fury continued. Through Mysterio, we learned that there are several powerful people hidden around Norman, and even contacted the energy hijacker Max. Their plan to capture Spider-Man has never stopped. Pass. Golden Max. Yang Ming narrowed his eyes slightly, and dialed the number of the white-haired Otto. Drive Otto, when will the new arc reactor be ready? A week later. Okay, a week later, we'll do something big. In the video, the white-haired Otto seemed to have a premonition of something bad, and his expression was wonderful. Yami, what I want to say is that I am old, you can't torment me, I hope you can remember the fine traditions of China, respect the old and love the young. Yang Ming's cheeks twitched. What exactly do you want to say? Oh, Yami, I know what you want to do, but we need to be fully prepared, at least have weapons, my company's funds are very tight, you know. The white-haired Otto looked embarrassed. Seeing this, Yang Ming sighed and said, well, we can only postpone the time. Before he finished speaking, Braised Egghead couldn't help but said, Mr. Yami, if it's about weapons and funds, I think I can help. Really, Chief Fury? Yang Ming was grateful. Nick Fury said seriously, of course, I still have this permission for the time being. By the way, this is. He looked at the white-haired Otto in the video. Yang Ming reacted, oh, I forgot to introduce, this is my predecessor, Dr. Otto Gunther Octavius, the greatest scientist in the world. When the white-haired Otto heard Yang Ming introduce him like this, his smile became brighter. Yami really had a vision. Otto Gunther Octavius. And here, Nick Fury's black face thought, he seemed to have heard of this name. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something and was slightly startled. Impossible. Dr. Otto passed away 3 years ago, how could he still be alive? White-haired Otto said with a smile, hey, you should have heard of the multiverse. Multiverse. Nick Fury's eyes. One eye widened, so, what Mysterio said is true, they really came from another Earth. Why, isn't the mysterious guest one of yours? Do you also doubt his words? Yang Ming teased. Nick Fury shook his head, Mysterio can't be completely trusted, I know that. I just didn't expect that his words didn't lie to me. Quote. He glanced at the three of them, his tone uncertain, then your identities. He suspects that at least one of the 3 Spider-Man is from another universe. Gwen shook her head quickly, I'm not Peter, he is. She sold Yang Ming without hesitation, as a repayment for the kindness of giving the shirt. Yang Ming nodded in agreement. Yes, I am from this world, they are not. Gwen. Peter. Boring and childish. Nick Fury looked at the expressions of the 3, and it was easy to guess who was lying. But the most important thing now is the Osborn group, and other things will be discussed later. Mr. Yami, Miss Stacy, Mr. Parker, I am very glad that you have joined our team. I will solve the problem of funds. May I ask this, Mr. Octavius, how much money is needed to ensure that the armed forces of the Osborn group can be resisted in the shortest possible time? Quote. In the video, the white-haired Otto tapped the computer to calculate for a while, and then said, the armed forces of the Osborn group are extremely terrifying. If we want to fight against them, we need at least particle energy guns. Wait, Dr. Otto, what particle energy gun are you talking about? Nick Fury was a little confused. White-haired Otto explained, particle energy is the result of my research over the years. It is powerful enough to smash the scale armor defense of lizard monsters. Even stronger lizardmen will be destroyed by enough particle energy guns, into a sieve. Particle energy, in fact, is to use the arc reactor to inject huge energy into the weapon, and after energy conversion, it will produce extremely strong destructive power. The background of this world is simple, and the official forces do not have powerful, simple and portable weapons to deal with destructive ability users, so he researched this weapon, but it required a lot of money. Originally, I was having a headache about this matter, but I didn't expect Nick Fury to come to the door by himself, so the two of them took advantage of the situation to fool each other with a little money. And hearing that the particle energy gun is powerful, Nick Fury is inevitably excited. Drive Otto, how much money do you need? Well, at least it needs 1,000 billion US dollars. The white-haired Otto said this, and looked at Nick Fury's black face, but didn't see any expression. Okay, I can apply for 1,000 billion US dollars, please Dr. Otto. Nick Fury bowed. White-haired Otto, Yang Ming. The two looked at each other, seeing regret in each other's eyes. Poverty limits the imagination. After leaving the caravan and sending away the corned egg head, the three of them came to the park. Yummy, are we really going to deal with the Osborn group? Peter looked hesitant. His good friend Harry was Norman's son, and he was against the Osborn group, that is, against Harry. Seeing this, Yang Ming certainly knew what Peter was thinking. Peter, with great power comes great responsibility. You know what will happen to another Green Goblin. If Norman Osborn continues like this, he will completely become a Green Goblin. We're helping Harry by helping Norman return to his original self. Quote. Hearing what Yang Ming said, Peter finally figured it out and stopped struggling. And Gwen doesn't need to be fooled. As Spider-Woman, saving the world has always been her code of conduct. 3 days later, at the press conference of the Octavius Group, the energy technology with the brand new arc reactor as the core was officially promoted in New York, which caused an uproar all over the world. Especially with S.H.I.E.L.D. secretly fueling the flames, the Octavius Group became popular all over the world. Such a high-profile approach will inevitably attract the coveted eyes of countless forces. Even the official forces in the United States are very greedy for the technology of arc reactors, including S.H.I.E.L.D. Yummy, arc reactor technology. Director Ferry, this is part of the plan. In fact, this technology has not been researched at all. We need you to come forward to clarify after the Osborn Group's incident is over. In the white-haired Otto's laboratory, Yang Ming looked at the black braised egg in the video with a wry smile. After some explanations, although Lu Dantu was skeptical, he also promised not to let other forces make trouble. After closing the video, the middle-aged Otto will put the transformer prepared by Max in front of Yang Ming. Take it, I made this. After the middle-aged Otto finished speaking, he turned around blankly. Yang Ming looked at the white-haired Otto and asked curiously, have you trained this guy? The white-haired Otto shook his head. How could it be so easy? I installed a chip in his robotic arm, so I can make him do things honestly. Yang Ming suddenly realized, I really envy. Sorry, please lift your foot. William Baker came with a broom and interrupted Yang Ming. The other party cleaned the laboratory meticulously. Yang Ming continued, I really envy. Sorry, Dr. Otto, to bother you, the material for the particle energy gun is missing, and we need to ask S.H.I.E.L.D. to arrange it. The elderly Norman walked into the laboratory, and after obtaining the consent of the white-haired Otto, he left the laboratory arrangement. Yummy, what do you envy? White-haired Otto asked. Yang Ming. He looked around the laboratory, and after making sure there was no one else, he breathed a sigh of relief. I'm so envious. Do you want coffee? The middle-aged Otto handed Yang Ming a cup of coffee. Yang Ming. The three guys must have done it on purpose. Drive Otto, I'm leaving first. Yang Ming stood up and said goodbye. Well, Yummy, I will surprise you in 4 days. I am looking forward. Parker Apartments. Yang Ming didn't go home, but rang the doorbell of Ben Parker's house. Crack. When Ben Parker opened the door, Yang Ming didn't make any other excuses, but got straight to the point. Uncle Parker, this is a transformer specially designed for Max, I will give it to you. Taking the circular device from Yang Ming's hand, Ben Parker smiled kindly without any surprise, as if he knew Yang Ming's identity long ago. Yummy, good boy, Max will thank you. Yang Ming smiled, you're welcome, if possible, I hope Uncle Parker can do me a favor. No problem. Hidden task. Treat at least 5 villains' mutation symptoms, 3/5. Task reward. Open the big event punch atlas once. In the room, watching more than half of the mission progress, Yang Ming fell into deep thought. The Sandman, the Green Goblin, and the Blue Electric Man were successfully treated. Aside from the middle-aged Otto, the only known target now is Golden Max, and the middle-aged Norman may also be counted as one. Moreover, there are still capable people hidden around the middle-aged Norman, and there should be mutants among them, which can also be used as preliminary targets. It is only a matter of time before the hidden mission is completed. And the small goal of getting 5 Spider-Man together should not be difficult to achieve. As for temporary missions, there have been no villains to sabotage recently, and it has not been opened for a long time. So he needs to take the initiative to do a big vote. Miles is missing, so the only way to get it is from the Osborne group. 4 days later, Liberty Island, New York. Liberty Island is a small island in the harbor of New York City, not far from the southwest of Manhattan Island, covering an area of about 4 hectares. It is the international monument of the Statue of Liberty and the location of the American Immigration Museum. Tonight, the world-renowned arc reactor exhibition is held here. Holding an exhibition here, of course, will attract dissatisfaction from countless citizens, but in this country, with the intervention of official forces, the so-called democracy can only make concessions for power. Regarding this, Ludentu expressed his confusion, and Yang Ming's excuse was that his actions here would not hurt innocent people. As night fell, reporters disguised as SHIELD agents entered the venue one after another, including celebrities disguised as SHIELD agents, and there were no unrelated people on the scene. The wind howled above the torch held by the Statue of Liberty. Yang Ming sat cross-legged here, looked at the brilliant neon lights across the coast, and took a deep breath. Everything that starts here should end here. In the museum, a rich blue light shot up into the sky, which was particularly eye-catching in the night sky, causing countless citizens on the other side of the coast to exclaim. This is the landscape created by Otto the White-Hair turning on the maximum power of the arc reactor. The majestic energy was released, setting off waves of energy that swept across the entire island. Nick Fury, SHIELD and others were shocked and lamented the greatness and vastness of technology. At the same time, Nick Fury also confirmed that the technology of the arc reactor was real, and Yang Ming was really perfunctory. Just as he was thinking about how to make Yang Ming willingly hand over this technology, an exclamation came from the communication device in his hand. Director Fury, a strange black cloud energy body was found over New York City, and it is rapidly approaching your location. So fast, the black cloud will reach Liberty Island within 10 seconds, be alert. Be alert. Boom. Soon, the sky above Liberty Island was shrouded in strange black clouds. Among them, lightning flashed and thundered, and golden lightning flashed across the sky recklessly, sputtering out terrifying golden thunder from time to time, and each thunder was full of absolute destructive power. Guys, start working. Nick Fury's face was serious, and with an order, the SHIELD agents present no longer pretended to be disguised, and pulled out special particle energy guns from behind one after another, ready to fight. The next moment, Yang Ming flew down from the statue of the goddess, scanned the crowd and said, "Watch all around, you deal with other enemies, he will be handed over to me." Boom. As soon as the voice fell, the black cloud in the sky shot golden lightning. Max, the electric man wearing a green battle suit and a golden mask, descended slowly like the god of thunder, looking down at everyone in midair. The terrifying golden lightning flashed across the sky, setting off the golden Max who was like a god. This scene was deeply imprinted in the hearts of all the agents and would never be erased. It also aroused the extreme fear deep in their hearts. Oh shit, is this still human? It's like the god of thunder in the myth. He is the one the director told us to deal with. Oh no, it's not Electro, it's Thor. The hearts of the people were turbulent, and Nick Fury quickly asked the agents present to retreat to the edge of Liberty Island to guard, leaving the terrifying electro-optical man to Yang Ming. No way, this guy can deal with Electron alone. I believe the director will not misunderstand the person. Yes, he flew down the Statue of Liberty with a spider's web, we all saw that, didn't we? Spider-Man. All the agents retreated one after another. Max looked down at the lonely Yang Ming, the smile on the corner of his mouth was still arrogant and contemptuous. You use spider silk, the Spider-Man of this world, is that you? Maybe. Yang Ming smiled slightly, flicked the spider silk launcher on his wrist, and the nanometal hidden under the clothes quickly spread all over his body. The spider suit appeared in front of his eyes, and Max's contemptuous smile became ferocious. Very well, my strength has broken through the limit, let me celebrate with Spider-Man's blood, and take away your reactor by the way. After finishing speaking, he hooked his hands slightly, and black clouds billowed above his head, becoming extremely violent. Rumble. Following Max's gesture, several golden thunderbolts blasted the ground, and the night sky was illuminated by bursts of golden light, followed by thunderstorms venting their anger on the ground. Boom. Successive golden thunderstorms submerged the corner of Liberty Island, the ground trembled, mud splashed, and dust filled the sky, which could not subside for a long time. Seeing this, everyone present showed despair, and a deep sense of powerlessness emerged in their hearts. With this kind of berserk power, even Spider-Man can't do anything, right? Chapter 51. Ha ha ha, Spider-Man, is this all you can do? In midair, Max kept grinning grinningly, and everyone dared not look directly at the ground bombarded by thunder, for fear that Spider-Man's stump and broken arm would fly out. But the next moment, a joke came from the top of the museum, which made people dumbfounded. Hey man, did someone tell you that you've been bombarded with projections? On the roof, Yang Ming was half-lying with juice in one hand, and raised his camera with the other to take a full-body photo of Electron. The projection special effects just now were done with the help of Mystery Guest. As long as you add money, Mystery Guest is willing to do anything. What? Looking at the other Yang Ming, Max was stunned for a moment, and then the humiliation of being played by others filled his heart, and he immediately became furious. "Aunt, you're going to die ugly," I said. All of a sudden, he opened his hands wide open, and terrifying golden lightning emanated from his body. The high-altitude black clouds also spurted thunder and landed on his body, gradually condensing into a ball of dazzling lightning, enough to destroy everything. The gravel also trembled. Max stared at Yang Ming at this time, and he hesitated to make a move. He wanted to see whether this guy was real or a projection, and he didn't want to lose face again. Hey, it's interesting to learn how to use thunderclouds to store electricity. And here, Yang Ming chuckled and called the artificial intelligence, Friday, estimate Max's strength. Okay sir. Max Dillon. Strength level. Surface level. Strength evaluation. SS level. Attribute. Lightning. Seeing this, Yang Ming nodded slightly. As he guessed, this guy has robbed so many energy supply bases, his strength has skyrocketed to the limit. Hey Yami, catch it. Not far away, the white-haired Otto manipulated the mechanical arm to return the red and silver suitcase to Yang Ming. The suitcase roared towards him. Yang Ming caught it with one hand, his body sank slightly, and he let go of the impact brought by the suitcase. Bring it on. Yang Ming grinned, and a nanometal suit card appeared on his fingertips, and he threw it into the card slot in the middle of the suitcase with precision. Beep. The armor is connected. I saw energy shimmering from the gaps in the suitcase, and as Yang Ming lightly stepped on the suitcase immediately deformed, and a pair of mechanical arms surrounded by precision machinery popped out. The moment he bent down and squatted down, and pulled the mechanical arm ring with both hands, the precision machinery immediately attached to the arm, and the nano suit card turned into liquid metal and quickly spread throughout the body. The metal suitcase was picked up by Yang Ming, his arms were wide open, the suitcase deformed again, the mechanical sound effect continued to sound, and the silver mechanical bone weaving quickly attached to the whole body, as the red armor was adjusted to the best condition one by one. Finally the armor was closed, and the palm of the hand the energy-emitting device emits dazzling light. The helmet covers the face, and the eyes shine brightly. Mark 5, the anti-electro-optical armor. The whole process was shortened to less than 3 seconds at Yang Ming's request. In order to achieve this point, the white-haired Otto was heartbroken. According to the various information provided by Yang Ming, the whole set of battle armor is made of aerospace materials nickel-titanium alloy, and a part of nano-metal technology is added to enhance the defense, flight speed, dressing speed of the portable battle suit, and the suitability of the suit for electric current, with conversion functions and more. Then the nano-metal suit produced by the system is connected to the armor to replace the artificial intelligence, ensuring that the armor can be controlled to dress while moving. The arc reactor in front of his chest emitted a dazzling light. Under the shocked eyes of everyone, Yang Ming moved his body, palms down, and the energy jet slowly lifted into the air, looking at Max. Max saw the gaudy battle armor appearing in front of him, but his eyes were still dismissive. Little bug, it can fly, not bad. But if you don't listen carefully to the teacher in class, the consequences will be very serious. Max grinned, and the golden lightning ball in front of him suddenly burst into dazzling light, and all the energy in it vented out, like a small sun bursting in midair. Boom, zizzy. Thunder snakes shot at the ground all over the sky, and everyone came back to their senses immediately, looking for cover to avoid. And Yang Ming, who was shrouded in golden thunder at high altitude, was blown hundreds of meters away as expected, and fell into the sea with a plop. In the crowd, the white-haired Otto manipulated the mechanical arm to release the energy shield, easily repelling the razor. Seeing that the battle armor was blown into the sea by the thunder, he frowned. Is it still not possible? As soon as this idea came to mind, the sea exploded, and the steel battle armor soared into the sky in the waves. The arc reactor on the chest and the palms immediately shot out dazzling white light. Horror energy overwhelms it. Zzzz. As the golden thunder spread high into the sky, Max laughed arrogantly. Ha ha ha, little bug, thank you for your energy supply. Covered by the battle armor, Yang Ming's virtual model of electro-optical man appeared in the corner of his eyes, observing the opponent's energy intensity at any time, and couldn't help laughing. Hey, your ability can only absorb electric current, can you digest the energy pulse attack transformed by the armor? Since it is an anti-electro man armor, of course the converted energy attacks will not become nutrients for the electro-optical man. Bug. The golden thunder in the night sky lost in the black clouds, constantly replenishing the consumption of Max just now. He was furious when his lies were exposed, and his figure appeared behind Yang Ming in an instant like lightning. Boom. The thunder spread, and the huge current increased Max's attack power. He punched the steel armor, and saw the nanometal on the surface of the armor wriggling, absorbing all the current carried by the fist. The current was absorbed, and Max's fist became a little weak. Yang Ming turned around and punched Max flying, and then fired an energy pulse from his palm. Max had no choice but to continue to consume power to offset the attack of the energy pulse. Boom. The golden thunder in the night sky continued, and the energy pulses shot out wantonly. Max's ability was targeted, and he could only be suppressed by Yang Ming. Max lost his deterrent power, and Liberty Island also ushered in new guests. Wow wow wow. Because of the battle between the two, the originally calm waters have caused vast waves, and the unknown creatures hidden in the coast have changed, making everyone who stayed on the island aware of the gloomy and cold atmosphere. Warning, they are coming. Under the order of the Corned Egg, all the agents held particle energy guns and aimed at the dark coast. Helicopters roared in the distance, and reinforcements were coming. Scare, puff. Suddenly, black shadows flickered on the coast, and lizard monsters rushed out of the sea, forming a wave of monsters and beasts in a very short period of time, besieging the entire Liberty Island. They're coming, hold on. Bang bang bang. In an instant, the particle energy continued to spurt, and Liberty Island became a battlefield. Seeing this, the white-haired Otto also joined the battlefield, which was originally planned. Osborne's army of monsters was so numerous that even he found it tricky. At the same time, several figures rushed out of the museum. Zzzz. Blue Max looked up at the high-altitude golden lightning, then removed the transformer on his chest and replaced it with a brand new arc reactor. Uncle Parker, I will not let you down. The body fully absorbed the majestic energy in the arc reactor, and the blue electric current spread within several meters around the body, and a terrifying breath swept away, and the lizard monsters that came upon them were paralyzed and fell to the ground the moment they touched the electric current. The long-lost power filled his body, and Max roared up to the sky. The blue energy in his eyes seemed to break through the sky. Boom. In an instant, he turned into a blue thunder and crisscrossed the battlefield. Scorched earth spread everywhere he passed, and monster corpses were everywhere. Peter and Gwen, who had just rushed out of the museum, witnessed this scene and looked at each other. This is the guy Uncle Ben took in. It's scary. The two couldn't help but shuddered, and launched spider silks to deal with the attacking lizard monster. But here, the appearance of the blue electric light man immediately made Golden Max feel emotionally, and subconsciously distractedly looked at the blue electric arc that killed all directions on the island. Little Golden Man, you still dare to be distracted. Bang bang bang. Yang Ming controlled the battle armor to shoot energy pulses down into the sea, splashing the sky and wet the Golden Max, and the golden lightning flickered, showing an unstable state. Zzzz. Golden Max noticed the abnormality in his body, his face changed, and he subconsciously covered the damaged part of his battle suit with a cloak. This scene happened to be observed by Yang Ming. The secret of not short-circuiting is because of the suit. Yang Ming grinned, and controlled the battle armor to soar into the sky, wantonly consuming the energy of the arc reactor, lacing energy pulses all over the sky into the sea, setting off dense waves to submerge the opponent. Norman is so weak that he still refuses to show up, so he can only leave first. Golden Max rushed out of the waves and was swept away, thinking of retreating. Hey man, I'll pay you for a cooler suit. Yang Ming swooped down from high altitude at a high speed, and the palm of his hand fired dense energy pulses, vowing to destroy Golden Max's battle suit. HMPH, talk about it after you catch up with me. Golden Max turned into an electric current and fled without hesitation, but because the seawater on his body was not dry, his speed was affected, which was not as good as before, not much faster than the armor used by Yang Ming. Boom! The waves swept in a straight line. Yang Ming chased Max, and his figure quickly disappeared into the night sky. The fighting on Liberty Island is still going on, and the lizard monsters that are constantly thrown out of the sea seem to be endless. Boom! The high-altitude helicopter roared, and reinforcements were about to arrive. Nick Fury touched the sweat on his forehead and showed a smile. Finally, before he could breathe a sigh of relief, 4 huge waterspouts slowly rose from the choppy sea, enclosing Liberty Island respectively and blocking the helicopter's support. Above one of the waterspouts, a figure shrouded in green light loomed. You're a mystery guest, so you know that this guy is not a good guy. Coulson cursed, looked at Nick Fury aside and said, Director, it's a waterspout disguised by special effects. I know. Nick Fury raised the communicator, fire directly to disperse the drones in the waterspout. With an order, the helicopter unleashed its firepower on the waterspout, and the naked eye could see the flames spreading in the waterspout. Seeing this, the mysterious guest showed no panic on his expression. He looked at the time. Well, 10 minutes, anyway, I did my best, leave as soon as the time is up, Norman has no reason to blame me. Huh, what sound? Suddenly, a strange sound came from the headset, and the drone image appeared on the transparent helmet of the mysterious guest. Inside the waterspout disguised by a large number of drones, a black shadow was flying among the drones, wreaking havoc. What? The mysterious guest was shocked, and when the picture zoomed in, he found that this black shadow looked like a black Spider-Man, but the sharp claws and the bloody mouth that stretched to the ear were completely two extremes with the black Spider-Man. Quack quack, fun, fun. At some point, the venom took control of Peter's body, wantonly destroying the drone in the waterspout, and belched at the same time, obviously eating too many lizard heads just now. Special effects can deceive human vision, but for alien symbiotes whose visual nerves are different from human beings, this kind of thing is useless. Soon, the drone in the waterspout was destroyed by the connection, and the exaggerated special effects could no longer be maintained, and the drone was exposed. The mysterious guest had a heartache on his face, and his body turned into green smoke and disappeared. This body is still a special effect, and his body is far away in another city. The mysterious guest disappeared, and the drones scattered away. Venom's body quickly fell into the sea because there was no point of leverage. Peter, I'm sleeping, you have fun. Venom let out a malicious laugh, his ferocious face retracted, and he returned to the state of the black battle suit. Peter just opened his eyes and opened his mouth when he was poured into the gust of wind. Hun Dan, this time I will starve you for a month. On the surface of the sea, dense lizard monsters popped their heads, waiting for the high-altitude feeding. Shet, Peter's face was pale, and he hurriedly controlled the suit to stretch the hang glider, hovering and landing on Liberty Island. The lizard monsters continued to flow, but the offensive was not as violent as it was at the beginning. Just when everyone thought it was about to end, there was a change in the direction of the Statue of Liberty, and a submarine broke through the sea and slowly surfaced. Oh, no! Everyone was shocked, and the next moment the earth trembled, and a 4-meter-tall humanoid beast jumped out of the hatch, roaring like a beast. Wrapped in thick leather armor, the sharp rhinoceros horns on the top of the head gleamed with residual blood, and the huge body rampaged, crushing lizard monsters regardless of enemy or friend along the way, rushing towards the museum with corpses on the ground, aiming at the arc reactor exhibition location. It's a rhinoceros man. He has great strength and can't fight head-to-head. The white-haired Otto looked serious. There were rhinoceros in his world. That time Peter was almost pierced by a rhinoceros horn, so he was deeply impressed. Gwen flew to the ground. I'll deal with him. Kakaka. At this time, above the Statue of Liberty, a green robotic arm supported a familiar figure, and its movements were extremely agile, much faster than the rushing rhinoceros. Gwen, my good student, your opponent is me. The middle-aged woman smiled kindly, but in Gwen's eyes, she was so gloomy. Drive Octavius, you. Gwen couldn't believe it. The white-haired Otto blushed. I am a middle-aged woman in another world. Thinking of this, he manipulated the mechanical arm to face the rhinoceros rushing violently, unable to look directly at the female version of himself, with hot eyes. And Gwen quickly came back to her senses, gritted her teeth and fought Otto. Gwen, let me help you. Behind him, before Peter could finish his sentence, several pumpkin bombs fell from the sky, and the violent explosion caused the black suit to shrink and squirm. Peter avoided the explosion, looked up and saw the demon glider floating in the air, and the green demon, which looked very similar to Venom, opened its fangs and bloody mouth, revealing a familiar face. Harry, your body. Peter was startled. There were green lines on both sides of Harry's cheeks, and he looked a little hideous, but he had a guilty expression on his face. Peter, I'm sorry, the glory of the Osborn family cannot be ruined here, I must help Father. Peter gritted his teeth. Harry, the Venom separated part of your body for you and cured your genetic disease, not for you to help your father fulfill his evil ideals. That night, Venom offered to treat Harry's genetic disease, and he agreed. Harry's face was complicated. I know, but I can't help it. Peter, I'm sorry, this matter is over, I will plead with my father. After speaking, the green devil's head rolled over and covered his head, and Harry controlled the devil glider to dive down. Peter had no choice but to deal with it. Boom! The demon glider swooped and hit. Peter fled back to avoid it, but the next explosion of the pumpkin bomb made his black suit shrink for a while, and under the interference of the flames, he was finally hit by the demon glider. Bang bang bang! The devil glider carried Peter's body and crashed into the museum, leaving a mess. Boom! The wall was cracked, Peter was pinned in the corner by the demon glider, the mask on his head rolled up, and the hideous Venom cursed, "Little guy, are you going to kill your father?" The symbiote in Harry was separated from it, and in a sense, it is indeed the other's father. Quack quack. The green devil grinned. Poor father, you are on the wrong team. The strength in Harry makes me far surpass you. I don't need a useless father. Saying that, the green devil raised its sharp claws and was about to take off Venom's head. Hundan, I want you to know the fate of angering the old father. The Venom's long tongue swept across, and his hands turned into black swords to slash and explode the demon glider. The pumpkin bomb stored in it exploded, and the violent flames submerged the two monsters in a sea of flames. Scare, roar. In an instant, the two monsters hissed and roared mournfully in the sea of flames, and were constantly being eroded by the flames. Peter's Harry realized this situation, and quickly controlled his body to break the wall and escape from the sea of flames. Scare, father, I will tear you apart. The first time out of the flames, the green goblin pounced instead of Harry's body. Not to be outdone, Venom still hands over control of his body to Peter. Dude, remember what Yami taught you? Of course I remember. The Venom faded, and the black battle suit covered the whole body. Peter's eyes were sharp. Facing the madness, he rushed to the green demon. He stretched out the black spider silk with his hands and shot out, restraining the green demon's limbs, and then kicked with the help of the spider silk elastic explosion. Immediately kicked the opponent's neck off. I hit it. Peter's face lit up with joy. Crack. The green devil turned his head slowly, with a ferocious smile, not bad. Scare. With a roar, the green devil's sharp claws stretched out at will, turning into spears and thrusting. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When the spear struck, Peter didn't dare to be careless. The black spider silk shrank back, and his body avoided the attack of the spear at an unimaginable angle. While turning over and retreating, he snatched the particle energy gun from the hand of the agent beside him. Hey buddy, pay you back right away. Bang bang bang. The particle energy beams were lacing, leaving holes in the green devil's body, splashing green liquid one after another. Wow wow wow. Seeing that the green liquid quickly repaired the hole, Peter stiffened and returned the particle energy gun to the agent. Good son of Venom, you were really great. Peter shrugged, turned around and punched the head of the lizard monster that rushed behind him. Peter, be careful. At this time, Gwen was knocked into the air by the female version of Otto's green robotic arm. Peter quickly stretched out the black spider thread to catch Gwen, and flung it towards the green devil. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Several bloody spider threads shot out from Gwen's wrist, and the moment they stained the green demon's skin, irregular potholes were corroded like a chemical reaction. Scared, the green demon neighed miserably, but the green liquid couldn't heal the wound quickly. It works. Peter was overjoyed, but the next moment he was blown away by the roaring green mechanical arm. Kakaka. The female version of Otto was supported by a green robotic arm. She looked down at the two of them, her smile still amiable. Gwen, Peter, my good students, you really surprised me. Let me tear her apart. The green demon beside him couldn't help roaring, but was easily locked by the female version of Otto. They are my prey, you green bug, give me peace. The female version of Otto looked gloomy, and the claws at the end of the mechanical arm exerted force, and the green demon was immediately squeezed by the terrifying force. The green liquid trembled uncontrollably, and Harry's scream came from it. What? Peter exclaimed. No, Harry. It's Harry. Gwen was startled. Boom. At this moment, the sea behind the two exploded, and the lizard man, who was one size larger than the lizard monster, jumped out of the sea and landed with a crash, surrounding the two of them with the female version of Otto. Drive Connors, isn't he dead? The faces of the two were ugly. There was an inexplicable smile on the corner of the lizard man's mouth. Quack. Gwen, are you okay? You are. Gwen had an ominous premonition in her heart. The lizard man grinned. Me. I'm Peter Parker, the Peter Parker who was killed by another you. What? Peter and Gwen looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. Another world's Peter Parker turned into a lizard man. Here, the female version of Otto threw Harry away and looked at the lizard man with unfriendly eyes. They are my prey, you fool, get out of here. She sternly shouted. Oh ma'am, you're still so grumpy. The lizard man grinned, not paying attention to female Otto at all. Seeing that the two had a tendency to fight internally, Peter and Gwen backed away slowly. But this is Liberty Island, where can they retreat? Da da da. Above the head, the helicopter roared, and the petite figure flew to the ground with the help of spider silk. Hi, I'm not late. The same white hood as Gwen, a white top and a black spider suit, and the green ballet shoes under her feet are a bit abrupt. Gwen. Peter took a step back subconsciously, looked at Gwen in front of him, and then at Gwen, who jumped off the helicopter, feeling that his worldview had collapsed. I'm Jessica Stacy, nice to meet you. Jessica took off her mask, flicked her short blonde shoulder-length hair, revealing a delicate face that was 7 points similar to Gwen's but purer, and winked mischievously at the two of them. Gwen smiled stiffly. Hi, Jessica, welcome to this world. With more and more Spider-Man, she should feel a sense of security, but she is not used to it. They look so much alike. Oh, here comes another Gwen, what a bumper harvest today. The lizard man looked at female Otto with a smirk. Madam, we don't need to rob. Of course, the female Otto did not continue to fight for the prey, and swung her mechanical arm to kill the three of them. Ma'am, your opponent is me. With a sweet smile, Jessica launched spider webs into the air. Her movements were extremely agile, and she easily passed through the mechanical arms wielded by female Otto. Zzzz. As soon as the mechanical arm moved abnormally, the fine spider silk rubbed against the mechanical arm to create sparks. Seeing this, Gwen whispered, the material of these spider silks. Like alloy steel wire. Peter continued. Hey, Peter, help me. Jessica landed and turned to look at Peter, pointing at the struggling female Otto. Oh, come right away. Peter came back to his senses, turned his hands into big knives and grinned, look at me. Just as the lizard man was about to intercept it, he saw a red and blue figure flashing away in front of him, and the next moment he found a lot of annoying white spider silk wrapped around his body. Hey, I heard you're Peter Parker too. With one arm resting on the lizard man's shoulder, the red-blue figure took off his mask, revealing a sunny and handsome face. The lizard man's eyes were filled with bloodthirsty light. Here comes another Spider-Man. Roar. He roughly tore the spider silk on his body, and Peter, beside him, shook his head, injecting the medicine he had prepared into the opponent's body. Hiss. Soon, the lizard man fell to the ground and convulsed. The green scales quickly collapsed, his body shrank rapidly, and he returned to his normal human appearance, a man with crippled legs. Gently placing the man on the ground, Peter stood up and looked at Gwen, with inexplicable emotions in his eyes. Hi, you. You are. Gwen. He waved his hands and smiled, a little at a loss. Meeting another Gwen, he felt as if he couldn't speak. You are. Gwen covered her face. She knew this was another Spider-Man. Peter smiled. I'm Peter Parker. After thinking for a while, he said, well, Peter 2 is a nickname for Spider-Man. Number 2. Gwen was taken aback. Is there number 1? Of course, look there. He pointed to the corner of the battlefield not far away, where a chubby Spider-Man easily subdued the runaway Harry with brute force. He turned on the sonic device in his hand and forcibly stripped the symbiote in Harry's body. Harry, it's all right. Putting the fainted Harry on the ground, he took off his mask, revealing a vicissitudes of middle-aged face with a somewhat complicated expression, then turned and walked towards the crowd. Hi, Peter II, we meet again, you haven't changed at all. He smiled nostalgically. Peter number 2 shrugged. I just returned to my world, and I came here again before I had time to take a shower. When the middle-aged Peter heard this, he smiled wryly, but after the last war, I haven't seen you for 20 years. Peter number 2 pursed his lips, wanting to talk about something, but didn't know what to say. It seems that your old age is not going well. Well enough. The two looked at female Otto, and saw that female Otto, whose 4 robotic arms had been cut off, was tied up into rice dumplings, and the black figure was laughing with her hips on her hips. The laughter was somewhat magical. Not long after, the 5 Spider-Man gathered in a circle. They looked at each other, speechless for a moment. Well, what did you have for dinner? Suddenly, Peter number 2 spoke, and the other 4 looked at him subconsciously, and he shrank his head a little embarrassed. I had fries and a hamburger. I ate fried chicken. I lost weight and only ate green salad. I don't have to lose weight, my figure has always been slim. Let's reintroduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Jessica. I'm Gwen. I'm Peter Parker. Me too, Peter Parker. I'm Peter Parker too. 3 Peter Parkers, how do we tell them apart? This is a problem. You still call me Peter II. Then I'm Peter 1. My name is Peter 3. Oh no, Peter 3 is the little guy in the metal suit. Yummy. His name isn't Peter Parker. Who is Yummy? It's also wearing a metal suit. He seems to have 2 other suits. I don't know it, but it sounds interesting. I introduce you, he should be back soon. Where is he? He flew away in his battle armor. Oh, I remembered, the one who was flying around in the sky just now and almost hit the helicopter. That's Electro, not him. I know Max. In my world, I was almost electrocuted by him. No, you're talking about Blue Max, the one just now was Golden Max. Golden Max, I haven't encountered it before. Trust me, you don't want to meet him. The 5 chatted non-stop. Blue Max, who was in the distance, saw this scene, obviously showing a disgusted expression, and disappeared into an electric current. On the other side, the huge rhinoceros fell to the ground with a crash, and the thick armor on its body was in dilapidated condition, which was directly stripped off by unparalleled violence. Zzzz. The 4 mechanical arms bursting with energy slowly converged the crimson energy. The white-haired Otto looked at the scene of the battle and found that the lizard monster had almost been cleaned up. He couldn't help nodding in satisfaction. It seems that the power of the particle energy gun is impressive. Next time S.H.I.E.L.D. needs this kind of weapon, they can ask them to add more money. Thinking about it, the white-haired Otto turned around and looked at the spider nest by the sea, his scalp tingling for a while. But he knows that not every Spider-Man is as quiet as Peter. Controlling the mechanical arm to quickly approach the 5 people, the white-haired Otto first greeted the middle-aged Peter. Hey Peter, are you still used to it? The middle-aged Peter looked at the 4 of them, nodded and smiled. It feels pretty good. As early as a few days ago, he had found the former buddy of the white-haired Otto. The white-haired Otto smiled and said, I really envy you for becoming younger. You've said it 36 times. I know, but I still can't help being envious. The white-haired Otto looked at Peter II. Hi, we meet again. Peter II looked at the old Dr. Otto, and said, you've become stronger as you get older. You are the same, I can see that you are different. Yes, my body has changed during the second crossing. A few people chatted, Nick Fury and others solved the lizard monster, and stood not far away with dull faces. "Boss, they all seem to be Spider-Man," Coulson said. Nick Fury nodded blankly. "I know, and there is another one who was not present. Oh, here he is." In the night sky, the steel battle armor was speeding towards it with flames. 3:10 minutes ago, over New York. Boom, zzzz. Boom. The high-altitude black clouds were blown away by the energy pulse, and the sky was full of golden thunder, and the golden light flooded the noise and neon lights of the city. Countless citizens looked up at the terrifying scene, not knowing what happened. "Bug, do you think you can beat me like this?" Golden Max saw that his black cloud was blown away. He gritted his teeth and cursed. His body turned into electricity and flew towards the city below. Without the seawater interference, his strength gradually stabilized. The city has enough power to sustain his battle consumption. Seeing this, Yang Ming swooped in and pursued it. At the same time, the palm of his hand changed mechanically. The super-frequency converter designed by the white-haired Otto exploded with strong light, and the invisible magnetic field spread. Anti-electro-optical armor, of course, will have targeted weapons. Seize the moment and hit it with one hit. Zzzz. Under the interference of the frequency converter, the current in Golden Max's body also flickered, and the speed dropped sharply. No matter how much Max mutates, he only uses the power of lightning, and cannot achieve the power of thunder that Thor has. The difference between the two is that technology can effectively restrain the ability of Electroman, but cannot restrain the power of thunder of Thor. In the movie, The Avengers, although Iron Man absorbs Thor's thunder power with his armor, the armor will also be severely damaged. Of course, this is not the reason for Thor to become Iron Man's ultimate move amplifier. Although Yang Ming's armor is a portable armor, its material is comparable to Tony's commonly used armor, and the defense power is almost the same. In the battle with Electron, the damage is very small, which is enough to see that Electron and Thor's strength gap. Since he is not a god, Yang Ming has nothing to be afraid of. Boom. Spraying energy under his feet, Yang Ming quickly approached Max, turned into a fiery meteor and hit it down, erupting gorgeous fireworks over the city in an instant. Call out. Boom. Max, emitting black smoke, slanted down the city, and the crowd broke up. Max plowed a meter-long concrete ditch in the street. Beep beep. The alarm of the vehicle on the side of the road suddenly sounded, and in the eyes of passers-by who were still in shock, Yang Ming controlled the steel armor and slowly landed. Crack. The mechanical sound effects continued, and Yang Ming came to Max with his battle suit torn. Before he could speak harshly, he stomped Max's head into the ground, and then took out the transformer and placed it on Max's chest. Ohm. The transformer was embedded in Max's body, and the light kept flickering, controlling the current in the opponent's body to a minimum. Ding. Complete the temporary mission and reward the generation of Spider-Man with 1% power. Ding. Hidden mission progress 4/5. After defeating Electron and completing the temporary mission last time, new power poured into his body, and Yang Ming stretched comfortably. Haha, new power has finally come in. Raising his foot, it was Max's furious face. Bug, you'll regret it. Yang Ming lowered his head and said with a sneer, Yo, it's quite arrogant, but it's a pity that you don't have a chance. Tap the transformer button on the opponent's chest, and the transformer rotates rapidly, pulling the current out of Max's body. Zzzz. The golden current diffused and was quickly absorbed by the steel armor. Ah, what are you doing? Max screamed and growled. Yang Ming chuckled. What are you doing? Of course it's draining you. No, you can't do that. Max finally panicked. How could the bugs in this world? In his world, Peter Parker, who was killed by him because of his soft heart. But the bugs in this world are different. He actually wanted to kill me. No, stop now. Sorry, can't stop. Yang Ming shrugged, and fired energy pulses upwards from his palms to consume the excess energy so as not to damage the armor. For villains such as Otto, Dr. Connors, the Green Goblin, and the Sandman, Yang Ming never killed them from the beginning to the end. Dr. Otto's morbid pursuit of his own ideals, Dr. Connors' original intention of making regenerative potions, the Green Goblin's helplessness about hereditary diseases in his family, and the Sandman's longing for returning home. The battle suit on his body made Yang Ming unable to ignore the meaning of Spider-Man's existence. The spider suit should not represent killing and violence. But the golden Max in front of him is different. Although Blue Max can go berserk, he is kind in nature. As long as there is a qualified guide, Blue Max will one day become a real hero. Golden Max is different. He is irritable, manic, an out-and-out careerist, who thinks he is the god who dominates mankind. This hopeless villain has no value except to use this guy to complete the task. Most importantly, Yang Ming hates this guy's contempt for humans. As Golden Max's wailing became weaker and weaker, the electricity in his body dropped to a critical point, and his body began to collapse into electric ions. Bug, what's waiting for you, will be despair, ha, ha. After Max resentfully said this sentence, his head disappeared. Despair. Yang Ming looked up at the sky, and couldn't help frowning. The spider sense told him that something terrible was going to happen next. For him, and for all Spider-Man. With only Max's green suit and mask left under his feet, Yang Ming raised his head and glanced at the terrified eyes of the surrounding crowd, and the energy sprayed from his feet was about to fly towards Liberty Island. Brat, take this. Suddenly, a familiar voice came from the convenience store beside him, and a small box filled with purple light flew towards it in a parabola, and Yang Ming subconsciously caught it. Forehead. Yang Ming looked at the familiar convenience store, and his cheeks twitched. This is Chinatown, Uncle Long's territory. Why didn't I find out just now? At the entrance of the convenience store, Chen Long, who was wearing shorts and a vest, was shaking the fan in his hand, squinting at Yang Ming angrily. Yang Ming scratched his forehead. Uncle Long, I have changed my vest, how did you recognize me? Chen Long rolled his eyes. Brat, it's hard for me not to notice your stretching posture, your broken English, and the logo on the back of your battle armor. Logo. Yang Ming's face was confused. He called out the radar to scan the back, and after seeing the so-called logo clearly, his face darkened suddenly. Old boy Otto actually printed my name in Chinese and English on the back, crazy. He roared in his heart. He raised the box in his hand and asked, Uncle Long, what is this? Chen Long said indifferently, this one is the family heirloom of the old Chen family. You have made too many enemies. This should help you. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he quickly covered his face with a fan and trotted into the convenience store. Stinky boy, don't say I know you, you hurry up and go. Yang Ming, okay, thank you for your family heirloom, goodbye Uncle Long. Friday, delete all surveillance nearby. Okay sir. Liberty Island, he's almost here. Nick Fury glanced at the flames in the night sky, then at the submarine floating on the shore. Norman Osborn has been hiding in the sea, so we have never been able to find his real body. Coulson, attack the submarine and capture Norman Osborn. Quote. Yes, Coulson led the team, holding a particle energy gun and quickly approaching the direction of the submarine. Norman Osborn, give up resistance, give up resistance. Over Liberty Island, a large number of helicopters hovered high in the sky, bright searchlights locked on the submarine, and their firepower was ready. Once they found that the submarine showed signs of sinking into the sea and fleeing, they would not hesitate to open fire and destroy the submarine. Facing the siege of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, the submarine unexpectedly did not move at all, and it was terribly quiet. When the crowd gradually approached, the cabin door creaked, and Norman Osborn, who was dressed in a suit, walked out of the cabin door alone, and the agents immediately aimed the particle energy gun at him. The blinding searchlight fell on Norman Os himself, which made him very unhappy. Norman Osborn, you lost. Among the crowd, Nick Fury stepped forward slowly, with a smile of victory on his dark face. At this moment, Norman Osborn's expression was finally no longer as rigid as a robot. He glanced at the helicopter above and looked at the powerful firepower around him, his face was full of disdain. Nick Fury, you didn't win and never will. Nick Fury frowned, and said, we have captured all the capable users you summoned, and even your son failed. Norman Osborn pointed to the spider nest, not far away, you rely on them. So what? It's nothing, it doesn't matter if they come, kill them, get the arc reactor, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is mine. The desire in Norman Osborn's eyes finally stopped hiding. Nick Fury shook his head and sighed, for this seat, is it worth it? Of course it's worth it, you won't understand. But you have failed. Failure, how is it possible? As long as he is there, I will never fail. Norman Osborn backed down sideways, clapped his hands, and smiled confidently. Peter Parker, come out and meet familiar and unfamiliar friends. After saying a word, Nick Fury took a step back subconsciously, his expression solemn. He knew that, whether in this world or other universes, the guy named Peter Parker was not a simple character. And here, hearing the name Peter Parker again, the spider nest exploded again. Oh, there's a new partner again, shall we have a welcome ceremony? Well, that's a good idea. Let's go and see. Okay, I hope this Peter Parker is not more handsome than me. What shall we call him, Peter 3 or 4? No, he's from there, so he probably won't be willing to integrate with us. It makes sense. Several people walked towards the submarine, but they still couldn't stop talking halfway, which caused the white-haired Otto who followed behind him to have a headache. Step, step, step. It was dark inside the hatch, only the sound of footsteps echoed. As the figure got closer to the hatch, thick black gas gradually diffused out, and 2 bloody rays of light appeared in the darkness, and an inexplicable sense of fear suddenly filled the depths of everyone's hearts. Sensing the extreme danger, Spider Nest closed its mouth uniformly, with an extremely serious expression on its face. Rumble. At some point, the night sky thundered suddenly, and thick black clouds floated over Liberty Island, adding a deep sense of heaviness to the low-pressure atmosphere at the scene. Boom. Lightning broke through the sky, and white light flickered for a moment, and the black figure at the hatch was caught by everyone's eyes. Afterwards, the searchlight locked onto the black figure, and a strong man in a black battle suit appeared beside Norman Oz himself. The man didn't wear a mask, his eyes were flooded with blood, and the blood-red spider logo was engraved on his chest. An increasingly dense black gas radiated from behind him. Eerie, fearful, evil, death, destruction, like a man who came out of hell. Ha ha ha, welcome to the strongest Spider-Man in history, Peter Parker, Tarantula. Suddenly, Norman Osborn's cheers broke the dead silence of the scene. Everyone came back to their senses and couldn't help but hold the particle energy gun in their hands tightly, but they still didn't have a sense of security. Peter Parker. Tarantula's voice was hoarse, and he noticed the 5 Spider-Man at a glance. A bloodthirsty smile finally appeared on his indifferent face, and the blood in his eyes flickered slightly. That's right, 3 Peter Parkers, and 2 Spider-Women, Mr. Tarantula, help me kill them and capture the arc reactor. Norman Osborn urged on the side. Tarantula slowly turned his head to look at Norman Osborn, his smile became weird. Why kill them? He asked. Norman Osborn was taken aback. Mr. Tarantula, this is what you promised me, are you going to let them go? No, I'm not going to let them go. I'm going to eat them. The tarantula grinned fiercely. Boom. Thunder and lightning flashed, white light flickered continuously, and light rain began to fall from the sky. Drip, drip. Raindrops dripped from Norman Osborn's cheeks, merging into the blood on the ground. He bowed his head stiffly, looking at the arm sunken into his chest, and the severe pain invaded his mind. Norman Osborn's body slowly collapsed to the ground, his face trembling with disbelief. Why? Why? What? Tarantula pulled out his palm and calmly shook off the blood on his hand. Because I know that only a sufficiently ambitious Norman Osborn can bring more and more Spider-Man together. Do you think your offer is very attractive? If it weren't for me, how could those guys willingly obey your orders? Quote. He looked back at the crowd. The black gas behind him contracted for a while, and condensed into 4 dark and thick tarantula legs in the blink of an eye. My purpose has never been to help you conquer the world, let alone an arc reactor, but all Spider-Man. Norman Osborn next to him heard this. His eyes were unwilling, he twitched and then fell silent. Father. In the distance, Harry, who had just woken up, let out a heart-piercing roar when he saw this scene. The green skin quickly spread all over his body, and Harry's face became ferocious. He propped up his tired body, picked up the fragments of the glider that fell on the ground, and charged forward. I am going to kill you. Harry, don't, Peter exclaimed. Annoying guy. Blood flashed in the tarantula's eyes, and the tip of one spider leg was filled with purple light, piercing Harry's chest in an instant. Puff. Harry, who was running wildly, fell headlong to the ground, blood seeping into the messy battlefield, his body twitching continuously. Harry. The middle-aged Peter rushed over quickly. Seeing that Harry was still breathing, he hesitated for a second, took out the glass instrument, and released the green venom in it. Wow wow wow. The green venom quickly poured into Harry's body, repairing Harry's fatal injuries. Harry's breathing returned to normal, and the middle-aged Peter breathed a sigh of relief. He couldn't let another Harry die in front of him. The strength is back to the peak state, and he has the confidence to suppress the opponent when the green venom goes crazy. And here, seeing the tarantula taking the lead, Nick Fury, who had been tense, immediately ordered to fire. Bang bang bang. Da da da. In an instant, the high-altitude helicopter unleashed its firepower mercilessly, and the agents on the scene pulled the trigger, and the dense particle energy beams drowned the tarantula figure. Boom. In just an instant, the hatch was destroyed by the firepower, and the black gas spread rapidly. The agents who came into contact with the black gas let out horrified howls, and their bodies twitched and fell to the ground. Rewind. The gas is poisonous. Ah, Chief, help me. Retreat. Nick Fury led a group of agents to quickly retreat, while the white-haired Otto waved his mechanical arm, deployed an energy barrier, and at the same time threw the wounded covered in black gas out of range. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Outside the arena, the 5 Spider-Man flew and staggered, launching spider silk to catch the thrown figure. Oh, this is terrible. Peter 4 is evil and powerful. Yeah, I think we could try to work together again. Of course, hope for a happy cooperation. I have experience with Peter 1, follow the spider sense, relax the body, our cooperation can be seamless. Wait, the guy in my body doesn't seem to have a spider sense, what should I do? Oh, it's a pity, you can figure it out. The spider nest is divided into 5 parts, sending a large number of spider silks from different directions to the center of the black gas. Puff puff. The next moment, a dense purple light glowed in the center of the black gas, and the dense rays strafed everyone present indiscriminately. Bang bang bang. Boom. The target of the high-altitude helicopter was too big, and it was not surprising that it was penetrated by the purple ray, and the aircraft burst into flames and fell into the sea. On the other side, the purple rays swept across the agents present, and everyone hurriedly searched for the nearest bunker to avoid the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. Puff puff. Under the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty, everyone saw the purple ray dismantling the pedestal quickly, and Nick Fury, who was still in shock, couldn't help but feel a headache. The foundation of the platform was broken, and the Statue of Liberty collapsed. He must be responsible for the blame. Fortunately, the purple ray stopped quickly, and the black gas recondensed into 4 tarantula legs. The tarantula leapt from the damaged hatch and rushed straight to the black Spider-Man, who seemed to be the slowest. Boom. The ground trembled slightly, the soil splashed, and the tarantula landed and locked Peter's neck, allowing the revived venom to bite his body. Ah bah, this guy's body is so hard, buddy, you must not die. The venom fell silent again, and Peter cursed, Hundan, it happens every time, I will starve you for 2 months. The tarantula ignored Peter's struggle, stared at Peter in front of him, and frowned, you are Peter, but not Spider-Man. He just wants to devour Spider-Man and gain Spider-Man's abilities, and he has no interest in other mutants. No, I'm Spider-Man, the Black Spider-Man, the most popular Spider-Man, no one can exclude me. Peter insisted. Annoying. Tarantula's face turned cold, and he raised his other fist to blow up the black guy in front of him. Whoa. In the next second, spider threads struck from the left and right respectively, locking the raised fists of the tarantula. Immediately afterwards, Jessica's figure flew across and staggered, launching special spider silks comparable to superalloys to build a spider silk trap, and tightly bound the 4 spider legs behind the tarantula. In the end, the middle-aged Peter flew down and landed on the tarantula's shoulder, locking the tarantula's head with his legs. Zzzz. The crimson mechanical arm extended and struck, and the sharp claws at the end locked the other hand of the tarantula, and Peter broke free from the tarantula's grasp. Peter number 3, unfortunately, you have been arrested. Peter stepped back, pointing his finger like a gun, and said in a dignified manner. Oh, it's up to you. The tarantula glanced at the crystal silk on its body, and with a grin, the muscles all over its body suddenly swelled, and an unimaginable force exploded, easily breaking the spider silk trap. What? Everyone was shocked. Bring it on. The tarantula grinned and shook its fist violently. Gwen and Peter number 2 on the opposite side of the spider silk were immediately pulled by an irresistible force, and their bodies involuntarily flew to the distance and smashed into the museum. Strength has always been their weakness. And you. The tarantula threw off the middle-aged Peter who was riding on his shoulders, and kicked him away. Finally, old man. The tarantula looked at the white-haired Otto, and the ends of the 4 tarantula legs behind it were filled with purple rays at the same time, forming a terrifying half-meter diameter ray that blasted towards the white-haired Otto. Boom! The purple light exploded, and the crimson energy barrier in front of white-haired Otto couldn't resist the powerful purple light, and began to shatter inch by inch, almost drowning white-haired Otto. Boom! At this moment, the energy pulse condensed into a beam of light crashed down, submerging the tarantula figure in the sky filled with flames. Kakaka. Yang Ming, who was wearing a battle armor, landed beside the white-haired Otto, and opened his face helmet. Hey, Dr. Otto, I asked you to replace it with a new arc reactor a long time ago, but you were busy with experiments. The white-haired Otto took a breath. For your armor, I don't have time to replace it with a new reactor, you know. Yang Ming shrugged. After this battle, we will study the improvement plan of the armor. Be careful, the strength of this big spider is more terrifying than imagined. I will. As Yang Ming said, he threw the box in his hand to Peter not far away. Take good care. What is this? Family heirloom. You're so late. Studying new powers. After speaking, the helmet on the face was closed, the armor sprayed energy and flew into the air, and the energy pulse in the palm covered the figure in the flames again. Rumble. All of a sudden, the soil splashed everywhere, and the intensive firepower rendered the sky full of flames. Hey, who is this guy? The Spider-Man, and others who were blown away came to Peter's side and asked curiously. Peter smiled and said, This is Yami, my best friend. Yami, a 6th Spider-Man. Yes, his battle suit. This is the anti-electro-optical armor that the doctor just researched. Oh, that looks so cool, it can fly. Of course, I also participated in the design of the armor. I do not believe. Why, my words are true. Look at Gwen's expression. Ah, well, I've only participated in the Ultraman assembly contest. The 5 Spider-Men couldn't help chatting together again. But soon, the burst of purple beams from the fire interrupted their interest. Puff puff. The purple light beams all over the sky shot again, and everyone looked for a bunker to avoid it again. Yang Ming, who was in midair, couldn't completely avoid the purple lights strafing. The steel armor was immediately shot by many purple beams, and the armor was covered with depressions and scorched black. The brake system failed and fell to the ground. Boom! The purple light stopped lacing, and the black shadow violently rose and sent Yang Ming flying, hitting the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. Boom! With a loud bang, the battle armor was deeply embedded in the concrete. Before Yang Ming could break away from the concrete, the tarantula's figure was as fast as lightning, turning into a black shadow and rushing after him. Boom! With just one punch, the concrete and rubble splashed, and the light of the arc reactor on Yang Ming's chest became dimmed. The surrounding armor was deeply dented, sparks flew everywhere, and the armor was almost paralyzed. Whether it is speed, strength, defense, or long-range attack, the performance of the tarantula is impeccable. He looked at the iron lump in front of him, and the blood in his eyes flickered. Iron Man, I can feel the breath of Spider-Man in your body. He grinned grinningly, allowing the energy pulse with its power to drop sharply to attack his body. The 4 tarantula legs slowly approached the armor, and the strange suction spread. This is. Under the cover of the battle armor, Yang Ming's face changed. He found that with the spread of this strange suction, his body couldn't stop shaking, as if he was afraid of something. Haha, give up your resistance. I once devoured Spider-Man from parallel worlds. Your resistance is as powerless as a cat in front of me. 18. Hearing this, Yang Ming's heart trembled. What are you doing? Is this the despair in Golden Max's mouth? It's not logical that a big boss appears so soon. No, if you get stuck into your body with the legs of a tarantula, you will really be sucked dry. Friday, activate the explosive armor. DD. Cast off. Boom. In an instant, the gap in the armor suddenly expanded, and the last energy of the arc reactor was released. As the parts of the armor flew outward, the unimaginable energy impact instantly submerged the two of them. Boom! Light rain pattered in the night sky, and the intense flames under the Statue of Liberty swept across the earth, quickly submerging a corner of Liberty Island, and the energy shock wave it set off spread wantonly, turning into a gust of wind and howling in all directions. Nick Fury and others who hid in a safe place looked at the crumbling Statue of Liberty with extremely ugly expressions. The white-haired Otto looked at the intense flames below the Statue of Liberty, and a trace of worry flashed across his face. When designing the battle armor, Yang Ming asked him to add the explosive armor function to deal with this situation, but he didn't expect it to come in handy so soon. When the armor explodes, most of the impact force is released to the outside. Although the last layer of defense in the battle armor will be retained, it is possible to avoid damage to the wearer as much as possible. But without repeated experiments, it is difficult to know the specific effect of the defense layer against damage. For ordinary people, exploding armor means dying together. But for Yang Ming, there is a nanometal suit as an external defense, and Spider-Man's strong physique can also allow him to survive the impact of the explosion. On the other side of the spider's nest, the five of them stared at the raging flames for a moment. What just happened? Not long after, the aftermath of the explosion slowly dissipated under the Statue of Liberty, which was tilted at a corner, and everyone hurried forward to check. In a messy pit of scorched earth, Yang Ming was half-lying on the ground covered in blood. The nanometal on his body was incomplete, and his battle clothes collapsed in large areas. Seeing Yang Ming's miserable state, Gwen and others hurriedly squatted down to clean up the blood for Yang Ming. Yummy, how are you? Yummy, are you okay? Ahem, don't touch me, it hurts. Yang Ming coughed and told everyone to step back, grinning his teeth. The nano-metal suit was not completely blown apart, he could feel the physique brought by the suit taking effect, and his body was rapidly healing itself. Go and see if that guy is dead. He suddenly thought of the big boss that had swallowed 18 Spider-Man. As soon as he spoke, before everyone could react, there was a strange sound from the scorched earth not far away. Oops, he's still alive. Everyone exclaimed and backed away. Puff, a fist pierced the scorched earth, and the tarantula whose battle clothes had been destroyed slowly stood up, shaking off the scorched earth from his body, his blood-colored eyes filled with endless anger. You little bugs really pissed me off, and you're going to end up being part of my power forever. The wolf spider approached step by step, and the legs of the wolf spider behind it condensed a terrifying purple light cluster, and the surrounding air was faintly distorted, emitting terrifying energy. Seeing this, the white-haired Otto stepped forward to set up an energy barrier without hesitation. Behind him, Yang Ming propped himself up and got up with a solemn expression. This guy is difficult to deal with, I need your help. He looked at the 5 people beside him. What do we want us to do? Middle-aged Peter said with firm eyes. Yang Ming glanced at the first-generation Spider-Man, the second-generation Spider-Man, and another Gwen Spider who appeared out of nowhere, and nodded slightly. All arrived, now is the best time to complete missions and gain power. Join my team and join the Multi-Avenger Alliance, are you willing? Yang Ming said. The 5 people looked at each other when they heard this. When is it now? Shouldn't this kind of thing be discussed after the fact? I am willing. Peter took the lead in responding without thinking too much. I am willing too, Gwen then said. Peter too shrugged and smiled, although I don't know what's wrong, I'm happy to be your partner. The wisdom in middle-aged Peter's eyes flickered, okay, I agree. Jessica flicked her short blonde hair and said with a smile, is it a team? It seems very interesting. The moment the 5 agreed, a system prompt sounded in Yang Ming's ears. Ding. Collect all 5 Spider-Man, complete the task beyond the quota, and reward the generation of Spider-Man with 5% power. Reward Gwen Spider Battlesuit X1. Reward Jessica's Spider Suit X1. Reward Generation Spider-Man Suit X1 covered. Reward the second generation Spider-Man Suit X1 covered. Reward Venom Spider Suit X1 without Venom form. Ding. Overfulfill the task, and the 5 suits will respectively enhance all attributes by 25%. Ding. The multiple Avengers are assembled, and the Spider-Man multiverse is further connected. Ding. Congratulations on getting the achievement. Spider-Man Collector, rewarding Spider-Man Card Pack. Spider-Man Card Pack. Randomly generate a set of Spider-Man suits every day. The Spider-Man suit generated in this card pack is a one-time consumable item, which is refreshed on time every day. The Spider-Man suit generated in this card pack is a semi-finished product, please explore by yourself. A series of messages flashed before Yang Ming's eyes. Before Yang Ming could think for a moment, the purple energy collided with the crimson barrier. The night sky was illuminated by dazzling purple light. The impact of energy plowed through the scorched earth, and the smoke rose again. Die! With the roar of the tarantula, the crimson barrier shattered inch by inch, and the white-haired Otto's forehead was covered with beads of sweat. Seeing this, Yang Ming turned the card between his fingers into a space gate and dropped from the sky, intercepting the purple energy. Boom! The space gate resisted the bombardment of purple energy, and finally gave the white-haired Otto a chance to breathe again. He looked at the door of space that gradually filled with fine cracks in front of him, his eyes were full of shock. Yami, doctor, you step back first. After Yang Ming finished speaking, he received the task reward, and 5% of the power of the first-generation Spider-Man poured into his body, and his tired body quickly recovered. Everyone, let's have a big fight. He looked at the 5 people around him and raised his right fist. Okay, let's have a big fight. A little excited. What are you waiting for? The 6 people looked at each other and smiled, and then the 5 of them fired spider threads to spread out, attacking the tarantula from all directions, leaving only Yang Ming in place. Crack, collapse. At the same time, the gate of space finally shattered, and the red and blue battle suits in it shot backwards, overlapping with Yang Ming's body. The suit is in use. The second-generation Spider-Man suit. The first-generation Spider-Man suit with 18% power increase has increased the strength by nearly 4.5 tons, and the brand new second-generation Spider-Man suit has been increased by 25% of all attributes, and the speed and flexibility are even more flexible than before. Faced with the purple energy coming from the lacing, Yang Ming tilted his head slightly, narrowly dodging the energy ray, and at the same time, his footsteps faltered, and the soaring speed made him come to the wolf spider in an instant. Call. As the breeze blew, the tarantula stared at Yang Ming, who was close at hand, and a trace of surprise flashed in the blood-colored eyes. What a great speed. Hey, Peter 4, now is not the time to be in a daze. Jessica's figure flickered, and the spider silk trap was set up in the blink of an eye, trapping the tarantula inside. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Immediately, a large amount of white spider silk came from all directions, and the 4 of them pulled a tarantula leg each, and pulled it in different directions. Annoying guy. The blood in the tarantula's eyes was full of blood, and the hostility increased sharply. The 4 tarantula legs behind him burst open and turned into black gas, breaking away from the control of the spider silk of the 4 people, and without fear of the fine spider silk traps around them, they raised a punch to Yang in front of him. The name is booming. Die. A punch blasted out, the air burst, Yang Ming was prepared, took a step back and easily avoided the iron fist, and then shot spider silk to cover the opponent's fist, and at the same time his figure disappeared in front of the opponent's eyes, and his steps briskly circled behind the opponent, constantly agitating shooting silk wraps around the tarantula's body. The tarantula explodes fast, but lacks flexibility. Yang Ming uses the second-generation Spider-Man suit with 25% more attributes, which can restrain the tarantula to a certain extent. Bug, taste my wrath. The tarantula roared, and its whole body was filled with blazing fire, and the spider silk covering its whole body was burned up in an instant. He devoured 18 Spider-Man and looted several special superpowers, fire being one of them. Seeing this, Yang Ming immediately turned over and backed away. Fire ability, it's hard to do now. Suddenly, a figure passed by Yang Ming. The middle-aged Peter flicked his wrist, and the 2 spider threads sank into the flames to bind the tarantula, but were not melted by the flames. Yang Ming's eyes lit up. The body of a generation of Spider-Man produced its own spider silk, and the quality was really good. Collapse. The next moment, the tarantula easily broke its silk, and rushed forward wrapped in flames. Yang Ming. Taking that sentence back, the quality of the first generation of spider silk is also very average. Flying forward, Yang Ming shot the card between his fingers, turning it into a space gate to intercept the tarantula iron fist. Crack. The door of space was shattered by a huge force, and Yang Ming's body was covered by the red and blue battle suit. A generation of Spider-Man suits. Looking at the middle-aged Peter, Yang Ming nodded slightly. The 2 punched together and collided with the fists in the flames. The huge force exploded, and the flames suddenly turned into hot air waves and swept away. Boom! In an instant, the two felt a force like a volcanic eruption erupting from each other's fist, and the battle clothes on their arms were shattered by this force, turning into debris and being swallowed by the scorching air waves. Even if Yang Ming is wearing a first-generation Spider-Man suit that enhances all attributes by 25%, he can't confront Tarantula head-on at this moment in terms of strength. Boom! The two men in scorched suits flew upside down more than 10 meters away, and Gwen and Jessica flew over to catch them, their faces changing. Their strength was not enough to withstand this violent impact, and they were engulfed and kept flying backwards. Gwen, Peter number 2 exclaimed and flew forward without hesitation, and Peter followed, stretching the black spider web. You can't rely on spider silk to save people, Peter number 2 reminded. Peter subconsciously gave up the action in his hands, and followed Peter number 3 to block the four people's continuous retreat with his body, until the white-haired Otto came to control the mechanical arm, and then he really caught the two people. Yummy, Peter, are you all right? It's okay. The middle-aged Peter clutched his sore right arm with a solemn expression. What a terrifying power. Yang Ming got up, rubbed his right fist, his face was full of excitement. Although he was punched by the opponent, he was not seriously injured except for the sore arm. As long as it's not a sharp weapon, with Spider-Man physique. Chong. Just as I was thinking about it, I saw the tarantula gathered flames in the palm of its hand, and the legs of the tarantula behind it stretched out a sharp blade, giving off a cold light. Yang Ming, good guy, how many superpowers do you have? Kakaka. As if responding to Yang Ming, the tarantula's other hand glowed with azure blue light, and the frost and flame were clearly separated. Zzzz. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying thunder force covered the four tarantula legs, and the purple rays also quickly condensed into a purple energy ball, ready to go. Seeing this, the expressions on their faces became stiff. Strength, speed, defense, elemental energy. The impeccable tarantula made everyone feel powerless. Quack quack, little spiders, what a surprise. The blood in the tarantula's eyes soared, and the strange energy fluctuations spread out, which obviously also belonged to a kind of aggressive superpower. I planned to play with you casually, but now I have a showdown, and I can't wait to devour you. After finishing speaking, he shook his hands, and the scorching fireball merged with the extremely cold frost, and the extremely unstable energy burst out, turning into ice and fire energy that enveloped everyone. Rumble. The energy of ice and fire exploded, and the scene was covered in gunpowder smoke. The figures of several people kept dodging and moving, but with the power of thunder falling from the sky, the most agile Peter II could not avoid the intensive attack. Bang bang bang. The figures couldn't dodge in time, and were blasted away one after another, smashing into the crowd of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents in the distance. Peter bared his teeth and stood up, clutching his aching body and staring at the battlefield. I saw the energy bombing area. One after another space gates were broken and overlapped. Yang Ming used the short, invincible time, when changing numbers to walk around the bombing area. What? That's the Venom suit! Peter exclaimed. Gwen's face was weird. My battle suit. Yumi's hobby is really weird. Jessica flicked her short hair lightly, and raised the corners of her mouth. It's really interesting. The middle-aged Peter and Peter number 2 looked at each other in blank dismay, completely confused where Yang Ming got so many battle suits. Here, Yang Ming saw the timing and leapt out of the explosion range intact. Peter, throw that thing over here. Yang Ming shouted. Try that stuff. Something. Is it it? Peter was still in a daze, but the venom woke up again. The devil's face covered Peter's head, and he opened his mouth to spit out the box glowing with purple light. Oh, what the hell is this? The sudden change startled Peter II. Venom grinned. Hey, I'm Venom. Hey, buddy, I think you look familiar, have we met somewhere? It suddenly looked at middle-aged Peter, narrowing its long and narrow eyes slightly. The middle-aged Peter twitched his cheeks. He could meet Venom's fellow symbiotes wherever he went, and he couldn't get rid of them no matter how hard he tried. He was just about to say something perfunctory, but he heard Yang Ming urging again from afar. Hey, Black Cataract, let you throw something over, are you alien creatures deaf? Seeing Yang Ming swearing, the Venom felt embarrassed, and subconsciously retaliated, but when Yang Ming raised his fist viciously at it, it stopped baring its teeth and obediently threw the box at Yang Ming. Cruel human beings can't be provoked. The devil's face rolled over. Peter regained control of his body, and looked around at the people around him. Hey guys, didn't my buddy scare you just now? Everyone looked at each other and shook their heads. It's your good friend who was scared to pee. Catching the treasure box, Yang Ming wiped the drool on the box with disgust. On the opposite side, the tarantula was covered in berserk 7-color energy, obviously using more superpowers again. Little bug, you are much more interesting than them. I will eat you first, let your totem power merge with me, and become a greater existence. The tarantula grinned and approached step by step. The scorched earth under its feet trembled with the 7-color energy around it, and the void was also distorted by it. Yang Ming frowned. Totem power. He seemed to have a little impression, as if it was something that Lao Shizimalan's family pursued. The comic version of the villain is different, the thief is strong. Raising the treasure box in his hand, he smiled slightly and said, use this to deal with you. Crack. 5 fingers bent slightly, and with a firm grip, the box turned into fragments and fell to the ground. The intense purple light exploded, turned into a purple beam of light and shot straight into the sky, changing the color of the situation. Boom! The majestic energy swept out, setting off a violent energy hurricane out of thin air, constantly impacting this fragmented island. What is this? The white-haired Otto was horrified. Nick Fury thought with a black face, if S.H.I.E.L.D. can get this treasure. At this moment, the spider nest exploded again. Purple energy. My experience tells me that this should be the golden elixir in Washaw's novels. Gwen speculated seriously. Peter wondered. Golden beads, shouldn't they be golden? Jessica raised her index finger and shook it. You don't understand, Jinden is a treasure in concept, not necessarily golden, that's how it translates. Gwen looked at Jessica in surprise. You also read Washaw novels? Of course, my favorite book is Ma Po. Peter number 3 interjected. Wait, where can I read the novel you're talking about? I have a website, middle-aged Peter said suddenly. The 4 were surprised. Peter 1, do you also read Washaw novels? Yes, after Mary and I divorced, Washaw novels accompanied me through the most difficult life. Oh, you are so pitiful. What, divorced Mary? Peter's face changed, he seemed to have a premonition of his end in his later years. Whoosh, the strong wind howled the tarantula's cheeks, gradually making his grim smile stiff. He is also Spider-Man and has spider sense. The spider sensor told him that he would die in the face of the thing in the soaring purple light. What is that in your hand? The tarantula's blood-colored eyes flickered, revealing a deep sense of tension. Yang Ming stared at the purple crystals floating in front of his eyes, smiling brightly. It's just a broken power gem, you remember it for me. After finishing speaking, he held the purple crystal with a sudden expression, and the infinite power that was so violent to the extreme surged into his body, impacting Yang Ming's body wantonly. Boom! Unparalleled power poured into his body, bringing endless pain and strength. Yang Ming gritted his teeth, bearing the impact of the gem's power alone, and could even hear the abnormal sound of the bones and muscles being overwhelmed. One of the Infinity Stones, the Power Stone. In the movie, Thanos destroyed the Infinity Gems into an atomic state, just because he didn't want the Avengers to gather the gems again and restore the other half of the universe's population. But Infinity Stones cannot be destroyed. It only takes a while for the atomic state of the gem to condense on its own and become the complete Infinity Stone again. The one in his hand is a power gem that has not yet been condensed completely. The power is far inferior to the complete power gem, and the side effects of using it are also reduced to the minimum. Why does the infinite gemstone of the main universe appear in the multiverse? How does the main universe work without the infinite gemstone? Does the multiverse have another infinite gemstone? He didn't know any of this. He only knows that if he wants to use the power gem in the infinite gem, he must have a strong physical fitness and withstand the violent impact of power in order to exert the most basic power of the gem. At this time, Yang Ming raised his head to the sky and screamed. He could feel that his body had not reached its limit, because this was just a fragment of the power gem, and with Spider-Man's strong physique, he could fully withstand the impact of the gem fragments. Use gem fragments to unleash the true potential of Spider-Man's physique. Mr. Tarantula, I only have one punch, are you ready? Shrouded in purple energy all over the sky, Yang Ming's gaze was like a torch. He slowly stretched out his index finger, and the corner of his mouth twitched jokingly, as if he had seen the deepest fear in the opponent's heart. What? The tarantula sensed the naked contempt, and his face was full of ferocity. He clenched his fists tightly, maximizing the superpower he possessed. But the more so, the feeling in his heart told him. He will die badly. Hun Dan, it turns out that you have been playing tricks on me all this time. He roared angrily, recalling the battle that seemed to have the upper hand just now, and the sense of humiliation in his heart continued to spread. Without hesitation, he drove the 4 tarantula legs to turn around and leap, and the end of the tarantula legs sprayed purple energy, breaking away from gravity and flying towards the sky. Will I die? How could it be possible to die? How could I not be afraid of death? Boom! The next moment, the purple beams of light converged in an instant, shooting obliquely into the night sky, piercing the tarantula's body with ease. Boom! After the purple beam of light passed through the tarantula in midair, it directly smashed the torch in the hand of the crumbling Statue of Liberty. Let those who are tired and penniless after a long journey because they long to breathe the free air, cling to each other and throw them into my arms. I stand at the Golden Gate, holding high the lamp of liberty. New Colossus. Boom! The tarantula's body fell weakly under the pedestal of the Statue of Liberty. He looked up at the crumbling statue, the blood in his eyes slowly receding, and his gaze was lifeless. Ridiculous freedom, ridiculous, bugs. He suddenly smiled miserably, and the blood in his eyes flashed away, destroying the base of the god statue. Purple cracks covered his body, and shattered into 18 rays of light with the breeze, interlaced and penetrated into the void. Quack quack. Soon, the Statue of Liberty made a strange sound and slowly tilted again. Dawn broke, and there were only ruins left on Liberty Island. The statue of the old god was no longer standing, and the torch was gradually submerged by the sea. After everything was settled, Yang Ming gasped and shattered the power gem. Just now I was just pretending to be aggressive, and the box was crushed. The corner of Yang Ming's mouth twitched, and he could only shoot a large amount of spider silk to wrap the fragments of the power gem around and around, covering up the purple light on its surface. The power of the gemstone fragments subsided, and Yang Ming's body collapsed to the ground, with beads of sweat constantly appearing on his forehead. DD. Calling out the virtual computer, Yang Ming dialed Chen Long's phone number. Hey, Uncle Long, where did you get that thing? Haha, it seems that you opened it. Is it useful? Chen Long laughed. It's easy to use, it must be easy to use. You really use it? Why, can't it be used? Ah, brat, to tell you the truth, I heard that the existence of this thing will lead to disasters. I originally planned to throw him on the Antarctic glacier, but because it was left by my ancestors, I was hesitant until I met you, kid. Yang Ming, Uncle Long, do you really think this thing is safe on me? That's not what it means. You're a lucky boy, and this thing won't kill you. Besides, the fat water doesn't flow to the fields of foreigners, and I don't want to give this thing to others. Hee hee, Uncle Long, thank you. You're welcome. Compared to buying you a house, a car, and a wife, I think giving you this thing can better show Master's love for you. Uncle Long, drink more hot water. What? This is also the apprentice's love for you. Brat, you. Beep beep. After hanging up the phone, Yang Ming looked up at the sky. Using infinite gems, shouldn't it really attract the army of Thanos? Shaking his head, he called out the system interface. Congratulations on eliminating the tarantula and earning the title of Spider Buster. Spider Buster. When the enemy is Spider-Man, it can reduce the enemy's total attributes by 18%. Yang Ming frowned, and subconsciously looked at the spider nest, who came together, his eyes eager to try. Forget it, the team has just been established, so we can't start a civil war in the alliance. He dismissed the idea. Soon, everyone gathered around, and Gwen rushed forward to help Yang Ming. Yummy, how are you feeling? I'm very good. With a smile on his face, Yang Ming pushed Gwen away, who was standing in front of him, adjusted his hair, and came to Jessica. Hi, I'm I'm Yang Ming, I don't know your name yet. I'm Jessica, nice to meet you, mighty Mr. Spider, our captain. Jessica stretched out her hand and smiled. Yang Ming smiled and shook hands with the other party. It's nice to meet you too, Jessica. Looking at the extreme face in front of him that was similar to Gwen, he smiled with his eyes, and his face was harmless to humans and animals. Of course he knew Jessica's name, because the armor reward had mentioned it. He also knew that in this battle with the tarantula, Jessica didn't use her full strength from the beginning to the end. Although it was a bit shameful to use Jessica's battle suit, it also let him know Jessica's true strength. Even if Jessica's suit increases all attributes by 25%, it won't be that much stronger than when using Gwen's suit. This guy has weirdness. Behind him, Gwen stared fiercely at Yang Ming's back, gritting his teeth. HMPH, men are big pigs, and when they meet young and beautiful ones, they can't help but strike up a conversation. Peter 1. Peter 2. Cough cough. At this time, the white-haired Otto coughed and said to everyone in S.H.I.E.L.D., "Everyone, the Osborn group has been destroyed, and the final payment will be settled." Nick Fury was a little embarrassed when he heard that he was going to give money. "Here, I need time. $50 billion is not a small amount, and it can't be made up in a short time." He was forced by Norman Osborn, so he agreed and paid a part of the deposit first. Now that it's over, the creditor is pressing for the debt, and he is thinking about how to repay the debt. Ahem, buy time to collect money. The white-haired Otto seemed to have expected it a long time ago, so he took out the debt contract and asked the other party to sign it. In front of his subordinates, in order to maintain his prestige, Nick Fury had to bite his teeth and sign the contract. "Hey, no, why do you have to give so much? The excess is interest." "Oh no, Dr. Otto, you can't do that on Liberty Island. The idols are all down, why not?" "Well, you give me the arc reactor, and you can pay whatever you want." "Impossible. Arc reactors are related to the deployment of global energy strategies. As a New Yorker, you have an obligation to." "Wait, can I think you're threatening me?" "You may think so. Hitantu, I have decided to double the interest rate now." "Do not." The two are pulling at the limit. On the other side, Yang Ming regained some strength, and inadvertently caught a glimpse of a shiny bald man in the crowd of S.H.I.E.L.D. under the cover of several agents, sneaking into the submarine on the coast alone. Yang Ming was thoughtful. Did this mean Nick Fury, or? He had the impression that in the movie, the big bald head seemed to be Hydra's undercover agent in S.H.I.E.L.D. Not only the big bald head, there are many Hydra undercover agents in S.H.I.E.L.D. This is where the nickname of the Snake Shield Bureau comes from. Or, forget it anyway, Brain Dantu still owes so much money, it's not good for him to bring down S.H.I.E.L.D. At least the money has to be repaid first. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.